Well, good evening, fellow and fellowettes, explorers. Welcome again to another edition of. I need one of those funky hats like Dave has, one of those steampunk hats, so I sound more credible when I say stuff like that.
Those hats are great. He is like the hat guy. Yeah, he's got
Yes,
Or,
Jennifer, how the HE double hockey sticks are you? How's my sister from down under? I mean, in the United States, down under Georgia.
our version of it. Doing
Yes.
well. I mean, I love the current weather. It's not too oppressively hot.
Yeah, it's been a great summer so far. It's like
Yeah.
hasn't no blazing heat up here either.
Oh, really good. I
It
know.
was actually 73 degrees the other day, like at
Wow.
about 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, geez, I actually put a sweatshirt on.
Wow, that's good. Oh boy. Hey, Casey. Hi. Look at that, Casey.
Yeah, like a Casey. So far, Casey, tag you're it. So you compromise the chat atmosphere right now, or the
You have to leave the door open.
yeah. So you got to be the greeter. You got to be the
Yeah.
whatever official spokesperson for the channel.
It's 88 where you are. Oh, that's not too bad, right?
I'm at what is it? I'm at 191. Casey, you're not making sense, man.
191. I don't know.
Explain yourself, lady. But anyway, so Jennifer, I know Jennifer's always, pardon my expression, ass and elbows and knee deep into whatever she's got herself into. She threw out a lot of videos again this week, I'll tell you, man. It was almost hard to keep track of because I was like, I turn around and then like 10 minutes later, I look on my little Telegram channel and I was like, what? There's another one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I try to hit the whatever socials and then I plaster them. And I haven't been on Telegram just reading it because I have device issues and it wants me to update Telegram and I'm not going to update it. It's so weird. It's like, I don't want to update it because something always happens when I do those updates, but
the Telegram updates are actually good this time, just FYI.
They are?
So,
okay.
yes.
Maybe I'll reconsider. I'll update things tonight.
If you're using the desktop version.
Oh, really?
I've updated my phone too, but I'm more of a desktop kind of person. So
okay,
my Telegram works great on desktop. And
good. Oh,
hey,
wow.
Karen,
hey, greetings. Karen, I wonder how hot it is up there in New York. Is it comfortable up there too? I wonder.
Well, that's a good segue. I might as well start with that.
We're always good having the good.
Speaking of New York and weather and being hot, they came out with this today. Let me share my screen here. The good folks up in New York, the good old politicians, the good old, the wise and sage-like left crazy people up there. Just in, New York City Emergency Management shared a video today outlining the important steps for New Yorkers to follow if a nuclear attack occurs.
No, you got to be kidding. What? No.
So they're expecting it to get real hot up there.
That's weird. That's and it says state gov.
Yes.
Oh boy. That's
maybe good old Anal Schwab and his buddies are in HRC, and those guys are feeding these guys some information like, yeah, better, since the guide stones are down, you better prepare for a little nuclear reaction. Maybe. That's
so bizarre. Like the picture. Is the picture supposed to go along? That was actually what was shared.
This is like a frame from the video. It's like well, here, let me do this.
Video? How like that? Like that? Oh gosh.
Let me do this.
Oh, I love that logo. That is so cool. Did you make that logo?
Which logo?
The one that just showed for your report. Did you create that logo yourself? You went past.
I went past
your logo? Did you create it?
Wait a minute. Hold
It
on.
popped up like right before when you were
Let's see. Hold
for
on.
your channel, your logo. That's what
Oh
it
yeah.
was. Yeah, yeah. You created
Yes.
your own.
Yeah, well, I gotta find it again.
It was
Hold
so
on.
crisp, right? It was the version that you showed. It was big on the screen and you could see the detail work. That's why I was like, wow.
Oh, it's probably, was it that one?
That one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's my, yes, that's my channel logo and my show logo.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have it
Did
on
you
my
create it?
desktop.
You
Yeah.
created that? That's great, you all. You are talented. See, looking at it from that, like, detail, I love graphics. I'm like a geek. I'm such a
Well,
geek.
since you like that, I'll show you some more towards the end of the show instead of,
Okay.
well, include them in the memes. How's that?
Oh, good. Okay.
All right, so here's the video for all of you that want to see it.
So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how.
I love how casual that starts. So there's been a nuclear attack. They're trying to normalize this.
Yeah, where would you hear someone do that and walk across the street? Okay.
So there's been a nuclear attack. So you had your tooth pulled today. So there's been a nuclear attack.
She is very calm.
But it goes, this is for a different show, but I'm going to say this. This is exactly what they do to try to normalize crap like this. They make it conversational, like it's, hey, yeah, it happens all the time. Like this is like you're going to your gynecologist or your doctor or whatever. It's like you're getting some hemorrhoids removed or something. You know, it's just a nuclear attack. That's all it is. Hey, Lady Knievel. You missed the piggy? Hold on.
Lady Knievel, hi.
Hold on. You missed the piggy? Is that the one you missed?
See, I've seen that one. See, when you showed the other one, I was like, wait a minute, what? Okay, but you show it on you said your death. Okay. Nice.
The only reason I changed this to my caricature is because there's an actual hockey team in Canada apparently that uses a pig head like that has a hockey stick in its mouth, and to me it looks really similar, and I don't want to get sued by a hockey team, so I just changed it.
Okay, that's probably a good idea.
But yeah, Karen, the streets are behind her empty. It's weird, right? So it's like what was that Will Smith movie, I Am Legend or whatever? I'm surprised there isn't a German Shepherd sitting out right there.
Yeah.
Or why, just know that the big one has hit, okay? So what do? There are 3 important steps that I want you to remember. Step 1, get in.
Kiss your ass goodbye. That's the only steps you need to know.
Inside fast. You, your friends, your family, get inside. And no, staying in the car.
So you can be buried under a pile of rubble. There you go.
Is not an option. You need to get into a building and move away from the windows. Step 2, stay inside. Shut all doors and windows. Have a basement? Head there. If you don't have one, get as far into the middle of the building as possible.
Wow.
Sounds like a tornado drill.
I mean, okay. If you have a basement, like a lot of people in New York really have basements, lady. Really?
I have a feeling that they're going to. Sorry, this is unusual for this channel. We won't dwell on this long, but I am going to say that I have a feeling they're going to push this whole precipice thing with a nuclear confrontation with Putin, and they're just going to push that, and they're going to keep pushing it, and especially with China threatening to invade Taiwan again, and just a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, keep that in the back of your head when it all goes down.
Yeah.
If you were outside after the blast, get clean immediately. Remove and bag all outer clothing to keep radioactive dust or ash away from your body.
Oh my God, lady. Are you serious?
And for God's sakes, make sure you've got your booster.
I mean, lady, they're not even washing their hands anymore out here. They're just in masks. She wants them to wash nuclear residue off of them. Like, are you serious? With what? She's talking like everybody understands nuclear physics.
Right.
Like, yeah, you want to clean yourself with ivory? What? Like, what cleans off nuky stuff? God.
Follow media for more information.
Oh,
Don't forget.
that's
Because
it.
they always tell the truth and they would never steer you wrong.
Oh wow, she's a total shill. Not media. You would think she would say turn to a like FEMA channel.
Emergency channel, you know, like
yeah, but she's like turn to media.
I'm surprised she didn't put her little hashtag there, follow me, like follow whatever her name.
Yeah.
Follow me for more updates.
Follow me on TikTok.
Yeah. Follow me on the Nuclear Blast channel.
Nukes or us.
That'll be the new TikTok challenge. The shake, the clean yourself shaker, to clean yourself twerk or whatever
Right.
after a nuclear blast.
Basement edition. You guys can have basement parties, right? Bunker parties in New York. I mean, I can see this turning into a whole underground,
Like
cult.
Club 52 or whatever, but is it Club 52 or Club 54?
Studio 54.
Studio, there you go. Thank you.
Wow.
It's gonna be like that, except, and actually, this may actually where the zombie apocalypse might start.
I
Because
mean,
you followed their guidelines.
yeah, they're so desperate at this point. Like they've forgotten about the aliens. I thought they were going to have like an alien invasion before a nuclear thing, right?
Oh, I guarantee they're still ramping that up. I guarantee they're still working on that.
Okay.
But the thing, I'm to the point where I think that they've got everything queued up. Everything's queued up, ready to go. Whatever one it is, they're going to push the button for that one and they're going to run with it. And then they might try to make it crazy and push some other buttons too. But it's funny because that this is such an important video for them, as opposed to, you know, all the MI6 and all the other criminals from Afghanistan and everywhere else that are coming across the southern border that are, you know, trafficking people, murdering people, and all this other stuff. But just in case there's a nuclear war, forget about that. Forget about the invasion at the southern border. We want you to focus on this squirrel right now.
To sign up for Notify NYC for official alerts and updates. And don't go outside until officials say it's safe.
Oh, boy.
You know what just came across my mind when I saw that? When they said, don't stay inside, stay put. The great fires of like the 1800s, like when they were bombing the buildings and stuff like that,
Right.
do the fire breaks and stuff like that. So
Yep.
stay in your building. So if your building collapses or we accidentally blow up your building for some reason or whatever, everybody dies inside.
How crazy. I mean, she's just it's so dystopic. Is this a real like person or is it like
It's a real person CG'd on top of a fake background. She's against the green screen and they've got a fake background.
I just thought she might have been a CGI like character that they create too, because she seems
she unfortunately is non-binary or whatever she is, or he is, or whatever.
She's like a robot-y kind of chick.
She fits the narrative. So she doesn't have long hair. Doesn't have too short a hair. Doesn't look too feminine. Doesn't look too masculine.
But she's just so matter of fact. It's like
I know.
that's what I'm
It's like watching a Kohl's commercial or something or whatever.
Yeah,
It's just like,
or when they do the side effects of the pharmaceuticals and they put
and the side effects are death. You know, but they have happy music and grandpa's playing beach volleyball with the kids in the background and
exactly. They have soft rock from the 70s.
the air supply or somebody,
80s,
you know,
right? They have like Spando ballet playing and they're telling you all the bad stuff.
Casey's got it. Jen, the aliens are dropping the nukes.
There you go.
That's it.
See? Outside. See, Karen, they're trying to get you guys back inside again. I hear what she's doing. She's
Hold
like,
on.
stay inside.
I'm gonna switch my background. Hold on.
No, we outside. We don't care about no nukes. We outside.
There, I'm switching my background.
Oh no. It is such a clown world here in this America.
Oh my God.
Good.
We're going to talk about it a little bit, but not gonna dwell at Clown World too long because I start to get Tourette's after a while. Then I start losing my filter, and then I start saying things that'll get me kicked off. So, and I've had that happen about 6 times already. And so this channel is okay because we normally don't talk about stuff like that, but
we try to keep it.
This is an official narrative, so we can't get kicked for playing this video. It's in one of the most liberal cities in the country, so this might as well have the kosher stamp of approval.
Yes, and this is all allegedly, and it's for fair use, educational purposes.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, you've got this.
I'm going to pause it here for anybody that actually wants to write this down or.
She said, "You got this." Like you're
I know
a game, like a Saturday.
Like you're a woman, you're a cross-dresser trans that you're gonna enter the girls' bathroom for the first time, and you got this. You've got this.
I love it. You got this.
Don't let that nasty principal or whoever kick you out of school. You got this. Join the women's swim team. You've got this.
You got this. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, that when you said New York, that's what made me think of that, and I just kind of.
When did that like drop? It was
today. Literally today. Yes.
Oh, they really want a distraction from all of this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's the newest squirrel, and it actually surprised me because, well, I take that back. It shouldn't surprise me, but it surprised me in a way that it's like they're accelerating some things. And
yeah, I see what you're saying.
They don't have a handle on the narrative anymore, and so they're throwing all these. It's like whack-a-mole. You're trying to, like, whatever one pops its head up, you're trying to knock it down.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Hey, Becky says, hi, Johnny and Jen. Yay, finally caught the live.
Nice.
God bless Becky. Thank you for being here.
Bless, thank you. Yeah, I think you're right, John. I think that this was going to either be a contingency plan, possibly. I thought maybe they scrapped the nuclear deal because it seems kind of like, don't nuclear, like, threats seem very 60s, like 1965
It
right?
does, but I saw something recently within the last month or so.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to find the source. I have it somewhere. It's on one of my notes for one of my shows. But Biden, the resident, his administration just bought like a crazy amount of iodine pills. And iodine is used, obviously. Well, not obviously, but if you don't know, iodine, the pills are used for mild radioactive contact. So, like, if you ever get in a nuclear blast and you're far enough away, but you are exposed to radiation to some extent, the iodine is supposedly there to help you. So I do remember seeing something to the effect that they just in anticipation, and this is how I know the narrative's going a certain direction, because they always project. They're saying they were preparing because they didn't know what crazy Putin was going to do, like if he was going to launch a nuclear strike or whatever. So, which tells me they're projecting. So I can see that, like a dirty bomb, if you know what a dirty bomb is, it's not a completely nice, neat military grade nuclear weapon, but it's like something made in the back alley in some Middle Eastern country somewhere or whatever, but it will do a lot of damage. It'll take out a city, no problem.
Yeah, I've heard about them. They would talk about them a lot when I followed, like, the Jack Vanapee and Rexella. Oh, they have suitcase bombs. They have suitcase bombs. Remember that? And I'd be like, oh my God, stop it, Rexella. You're making me feel like I want to jump out of my skin. But they were always talking about that. Karen, you know about Rexella and Jack Vanapee?
Rexella, that's like a name?
That's his wife, Rexella. I don't know.
Rexella. That's a real name? Seriously? Or like a stage name?
I think it was her real name, and she had like big blonde hair, like real, like bouffant, big, fabulous hair. I maybe drinking a vodka. That's a better option. It's more vodka in New York, probably.
You won't be worried about trying to get to no basement or nothing or whatever. It'll just
you'd be outside with your
You'll have your little flag, your Ukrainian flag, or whatever you're going to be
Put
waving.
some salt in your vodka, some Morton salt. It has iodine in it, does.
Oh man! And speaking of crystals, there's another. Thank you for the segue. That's another awesome segue.
And I don't even know it, and it happens. I love
See,
it.
God's got me up here. He's like, this is what Jennifer's gonna say, and he's gonna.
He totally makes this like work. He knows that I'm just such a spaz. It has to be supernatural.
So speaking of crystals, since you're talking about salt,
yeah,
as a kid, I came across this, and recently, over the last week or so, I keep coming across this concept that crystals are living beings at the beginning of creation.
Oh, wow.
And let's see, Cave of the Crystals in Nica, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, in Mexico. Each crystal is not only a living being, but a library of vast information that we can access and apply. Explore the hidden symmetries in crystals, discover how they are highly ordered systems whose atoms, ions, and molecules reveal past repeating patterns. But anyway, when you said crystals, it reminded me of this.
Wow.
Because if you look at like the finest created timepieces, they all use crystals. They all use quartz.
That's right.
For precision. I don't know exactly how they work to make it precise, but I keep coming across crystals as living beings and frequencies and all this other stuff. And where is it here? Or at least the concept that crystals are a living entity in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's how the people that they speak of them that way. Like they have the stuff in it from, like you said, from the beginning. Like it's, and the fact that they're inside the earth, it's like powerful.
It's like they know stuff because they're crammed in there with all the buried mud flood Tartaria stuff and all the other egg Cartha and all the other stuff that's in the hollow earth and whatever. So
right.
They're like, if I could only talk, if I only had lips.
Maybe they are talking, we just don't hear them. Huh.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe if we could figure out how to tune our little brains into them or something, because we don't always have to hear with our ears.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We use senses that are just limited for this type of, experience. But from what I've heard people talk about things that expanded my thinking about it is like, it's so many more senses, so many more colors in the color spectrum. And it's just so much we don't use of our, Look at that. Look at what Casey said. She'll go into the street.
I saw, I'll go into the streets yelling, I'm going, woot, woot.
That's funny, Casey. I'm glowing.
It'll be like 4th of July with the kids running around with sparklers, but adults will be running around glowing.
Karen is going like in New York, like she's showing all these cool pictures of hanging out. You know how they are in like Harlem, so they just have like block parties like every night or something. So you could be outside and they have a DJ, they have food. She's just like with her family all the time. It's like one big family. Karen, you're so blessed. But I'm just thinking you guys would be like glowworms. Like you'd be dancing outside. We outside.
Glowworms. I can just, it kind of reminds me of, in my imagination, like, do you ever see Friday or Half Baked? One of those kind of movies,
of course.
Like with Dave Chappelle and those guys, are all
yes,
especially Fridays. That big muscle guy riding that little kid's bike, stuff like that, because he can't drive, he doesn't have a license or whatever. And then I can just picture like 80s boom boxes, people walking around with boom boxes and stuff, like it's the end of the world because they got to use them because they can run on batteries. They don't have electricity anymore. So they got these boom boxes.
Old stuff out, right? I just, I feel like at this point in this whole, whatever is going on, there used to be a time they could get my attention with this kind of stuff. But it's like, you guys, listen, if Pootie Poot's gonna do it, we're going outside. We're gonna just party. What can we do? That's how I feel. It's like are you really going to submit to fear, their
Right.
fear tactics? They are constantly with this fear. And we just have to say, okay, bring it, Pooty Poot. Would it come on?
Pooty
bring
poo.
it. Hit us with your best shot, Poot.
I
Because
love that.
we ain't
Pooty
scared.
poo.
We ain't scared, Pooty Poot.
And that's the whole thing. The doesn't matter who's been behind the wheel for centuries. The whole focus and they're counting on people to be afraid. They're counting on it because it's worked in the past. It's continued to work. It's part of the program that they stick to because nobody's ever questioned it. They've never run into a population like us that's like, yeah, well, we're mostly awake now. So normally people would be sucking their thumbs in the fetal position by now with all the crazy crap they've been throwing for the last couple of years.
So I think we're all, even the as they call it, the normies. I don't think you could scare them like 2020. I don't think they could pull off
No.
I don't think so, everyone. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but I just think that people are just exhausted and they're playing these cards so like it's just so old. It's like, gosh, don't you guys have something better to do? But they don't. I mean, I'm just like, this is rhetorical.
Yeah, and like they fulfilled the ultimate reality show because a lot of these people that we call normies or whatever, they're normally they have a tendency to gravitate towards those reality shows because they want to use it to supplant their own life because they want to live vicariously through all these other crazy people. And so this is like the ultimate reality show, and I think people are almost looking at it like that. Like, it's like, this ain't real. We know it's not real. Well, it's real, but it's not real. Like, it's like, they're not as afraid as think about it. It's like most people, I'm not going to say everybody, but most people that I know, they may be concerned about some things, but they're not afraid. And that's the biggest thing to me is that most people aren't afraid. They're just not afraid.
If they were, think about this. Even I know I get really annoyed at the people that I still see in masks because honestly, I still see a lot of people where I am in a small southern town. But it's also, I have to be honest, the people that I see with the masks on, they're mostly Black people.
It's how it is around Cleveland here too.
Yeah,
especially the closer to downtown you get.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere I go, it's in the parking lots and the stores, in the banks.
Yep.
I mean,
still in the car. I still see people in the car by themselves with a mask. I see children at the supermarket, but they are mainly Black people, which concerns me because that tells me that they are still in fear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a lot of reasons, we can get into the whole whatever history of where that comes from, which I doubt a lot of it anymore, the narratives, but that used to annoy me a lot when I would see it because it would dip and, you'd see it kind of ebb and flow. But I have gotten better with not being as upset with people because I wasn't even looking people in the face when I see them in a mask. They try to, and I would not even look, but now I speak to them and everything, but it was just making me angry. So I'm not having that kind of reaction anymore, but you could still see like they're coming out at least. And you have to, I'm thinking about it this way. If people were truly, truly, truly scared, they would quarantine again. They'd be inside their homes, never coming out. So that shows that they're not scared. I mean, Karen is out, having block parties and people are going people are out doing they've made this thing normal again, haven't they? They don't care about the gas. They're getting around. I see people getting around. They're dealing with the gas, whatever.
Speaking of gas, you just gave me another segue. Holy cow, I don't know if I can handle all the segues.
Fly through the streets on horseback.
The nukes are coming.
I love these ideas, Casey.
Casey, you're on fire tonight.
Yeah, Casey, you are really on one. That's good. I can picture it.
Speaking of gas, These are the kind of people we're up against, just FYI. And these are the people that those nuclear strike video people are counting on seeing these videos. And I shit you not, this is not a made-up video.
Oh no.
Pardon my French.
When you have to give that disclaimer, hang on, everybody. Let me sit back. Oh boy. Oh no.
Oh, no.
What? Oh, Lord. Oh man! Oh no! The woman laughing is so funny. She's having a laugh. Like this, whoever this person is, they have a medical marijuana card. Okay, in California. There's no way that someone is doing that. Like, did you steal that car? What is going on?
But these are the people they're counting on. These are the exact people they're counting on, and they think they're the majority. Thank God they're not, but they think that, and the media wants you to think that.
No,
so when you watch the news, they want you to think that you are the minority. You are, Anyway, so, but
great.
With that being said,
oh my, oh my, oh my, yeah, that's like.
I know they exist. Trust me. You think an alien invasion is going to get people freaked out? Imagine an army of them. I mean, just
unbelievable.
I bet you if Elon saw that video, he'd have somebody go repo that car right away.
Yeah, she's not the Tesla type. It was not the target audience for. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, she probably jacked that car.
Or, like I said, she's on some strong strain of cannabis. Something like it might be named Tesla.
Right.
Nuclear Tesla.
Hey man, I feel like I'm driving an electric car, man.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
But Casey apparently might have to take a break.
The laugh from the woman, but when she opened the trunk, I mean, who hasn't like rented a car and have you been like me, totally disoriented, like because it's some car that you don't know? Oh my God. Especially when they first had the ones that you push the buttons and all that.
Like the starter button.
Starter.
Yeah.
Or I remember I had to borrow a friend's car and just starting it was a whole thing. And I was like, oh my God, do I have to look this up now on my phone, how to start this car? I think I did. I literally looked it up. That's how bad it was.
I had to do that because I've had 6 Jeep Wranglers in my life. On my last one, I had to look up how to roll the freaking window down because I had power everything on it because it wasn't on the door.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Where the hell is it?
No,
and here it turns out it's in the middle of the dash. It's like these 4 buttons in the middle of the dash. You got to lift them up with your finger or push them down. I'm like,
I get it.
What? But then it made sense to me. It's like, Jeep, if you want to take the doors off, you can't have the stuff in the doors.
True. Look at that. True. Yeah. So you have to, I mean, that's the good thing about being able to look things up really quick because I've had little moments like that, but this one takes the cake.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be like monkey humping a doorknob. I'll tell you.
That's why I'm thinking this woman was lit on something.
Some peyote or something.
I actually, you know what? I used to knit with a lady. She was so funny. I knit with these little Jewish older ladies when I lived in LA, and they were so much fun. Can you imagine me? I'm with all these older Jewish ladies, and the conversations were amazing.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi.
Yeah, hey, no, I mean they would do things like I was knitting like this dress, and the lady that owned this shop, she'd have donuts and all kinds of stuff, and I remember reaching for a donut. And one of the older Jewish women said, "I wouldn't do that, honey, with that dress that you're making." I love stuff like that. You don't understand. Like I love because it reminds me of the women in my family. Like they will say something like that. They think nothing of it. She was like, I wouldn't grab that donut. You're trying to get into that dress that you're making. And I put it down. I was like, thank you.
It's like you're borderline. You better not do it. I don't care.
But one of them, listen to this.
There's people in my family like that too.
It's like they're just real. I like that honesty. One of the women, she unfortunately had cancer. So she had a medical she had a real reason for, the medical marijuana. Everybody does. What am I talking about? That's my Jesse side. I don't like her when she comes. Anybody, okay? I don't care. But it was helping her cancer symptoms, okay? So she had a card and it was red, okay? And she would tell the funniest story. She said she went into the CVS and she was putting her medical marijuana card she was trying to pay for her stuff. I was rolling. She was like the guy.
What do you mean I can't pay for my incense and everything else with my marijuana card?
Like he didn't know what to say because she was really frustrated. Like, what do you mean?
This is like a WIC card or something. Like a. Did it have the Visa logo on it?
I loved it. She had the best stories. I miss her. Oh, she went on.
This was in California.
Yeah, she had like. Let me tell you one more story. Me and my stories. She was walking her dog, right, and she didn't understand why everybody was always crossing the street. No, she wasn't walking her dog. She was taking a walk. That's what it was. She was just taking a walk one night, and she didn't understand why everybody was like running to the other side of the street as she was walking past. And she figured out it was a coyote walking with her.
Oh, jeez.
Like it was her dog. It was walking along.
That's my pet coyote.
She didn't notice. Oh my God, her stories were the best.
Especially if you had little dogs and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, yeah,
She was like, I couldn't understand. People were horrified. They were running. And she looked behind her. She said it was a coyote. Only
some people create their own comedy, and that's awesome.
They do. I mean, she was one,
and it's unintentional, and it's innocent, and it's funny, and that's the best kind.
I loved her. I miss her. Yeah, she was great. She was like, she used to be a Pan Am stewardess, like back when they called them stewardesses, and she was responsible for a kid that was traveling internationally. He was supposed to get off at Tel Aviv, and she didn't remember. And they flew to some other European country with this kid. And she was like, when she realized that she did not get this kid off at Tel Aviv, she was like, I'm fired. I know I'm fired. But it worked out for her. It was just so funny when she described the feeling. Can you imagine? It was all set up. She was supposed to help the child just get off in Tel Aviv. Okay, I've derailed things enough.
You're fine.
I'm crying. I'm laughing. I'm in a silly mood again.
And we haven't even got to the funny stuff yet.
I've missed you, John, and Chapman. It's okay. I'm going to get myself together. Okay, John.
All right, you got to do like you got.
Yes. Let me
Take
take
a little.
take a minute.
What do they do in Wayne's World?
Okay, I'm back.
So you've heard Jen and I talk about ether, and it's not related to Esther, this lady she's talking about, ether. I could just imagine that would be her name too, Esther. Why'd you call me? We don't drink any ether. We stopped doing that in like 1920. We don't do none of that ether anymore. We do the wacky tobacco. That ether, man, it effed up a generation. It erased history.
Erased 1,000 years.
Yeah, it erased like 1,700 years of history. That ether is nasty stuff.
Yeah, lay off the ether.
So I ran across this, in the usual channels. I think this was on the Tartaria History Channel or whatever. Somebody just posted, "What is ether?" So I thought, I'll just cut this one out. The ether is the ever-present field that connects all things. Yes, everything. Sounds like a commercial. Yes, everything is connected. Every inch of the ether consists of an infinite amount of free energy. This is the elite's greatest secret. If science were to reveal that the ether exists, it would destroy the entire foundation of mainstream atomism, whatever that is, or atomism, and particle science. Denying the ether would be like a fish denying that it was surrounded by water.
Ooh.
So, we've talked about ether before, and a lot of the buildings that we've showed have all these interesting metal antennas / whatever, like the old mud flood structures and stuff like that. And pretty darn sure they're not lightning rods. And because there's just too many of them, not only in the roofs, but we showed them in the fireplaces, like a lot of the
right, yeah,
that were not wood burning fireplaces. And so that just came across an ether, like, well, ether. What is ether? And we know about people like going back to our whole 1800s thing with and early 1900s with Houdini and all the rocket guy, whatever his, and
Parsons.
Parsons, and then we were talking about somebody else. Who were we talking about? Anyway, you get the gist. There's a bunch of these crazy people from back then that had all these businesses, all these. One was a writer and had like 600 businesses and all this other stuff, and he had time to be a philosopher and blah blah blah,
and a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. So he could defend himself for whatever.
Exactly.
But then it made me think of, I wonder if like air travel was halted, like how electric cars and that whole thing was halted by oil, and whoever else didn't want the energy efficient vehicles and that kind of stuff. So like with these water powered vehicles, the people, like recently a guy in New York, a cop who came up with another hydrogen water powered vehicle, he ended up dying. So it's still a thing to me. But back, going back to, because Jennifer's done, I've seen a lot of her pictures, and if you haven't seen her videos, she shows a lot of airships and a lot of air travel ideas or concepts. And we talk about the whole steampunky thing and that kind of thing. And I've talked about John Carter, which has a lot of that same concepts. But I was thinking on some of these airships, not the one I'm going to show here, but some of the other pictures I've seen, some of them have metal rods on them too. Like they have all these weird things coming out of the structure of the balloon or the basket or the travel compartment. So I'm thinking, were these ether powered kind of things, like free energy kind of powered kind of deals, not just riding on helium in the wind and that kind of stuff?
That's a good question, because thinking about archaics like Jason Brashears, when he talks about let me try to remember, because his concepts are so heavy and I'm trying to really like, when you try to explain it.
Yes.
So when he says that the vapor canopy time, and the density of the biosphere and things like that, it's like if we were to describe air travel now compared to air travel hundreds of, long time
Mhm.
ago, it would be a different type of biosphere. Like everything is different in the
Right.
science, right? So why is it so hard to like, it shouldn't be hard for us to wrap our head around that an airship or some other type of aviation craft would be able to fly with the different type of science, because it's a different everything atmosphere from a long
Mhm.
time ago, because things change. So like atmospheric pressures and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm just thinking like I can really see these airships more and more. And like you're saying, with ether probably started to even leave this biosphere. So we may not have the level of ether again, like we don't have it currently that they lived in.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like when Jason said something, it just clicked. I was like, oh, that's true. It wouldn't be the same kind of biosphere. It's going to be different. So time is even different. Remember, he said you can't use the same calendars, even. You're not
No.
going to have the same length of time, like years, because they've manipulated calendars. So a
Yes.
calendar year for us is not equivalent to what time keeping they had. So I'm just like, whoa, it's deep, John.
Yes, it is deep, but I truly believe that it was a conscious effort to not only erase history but get rid of the buildings, with all those great
Yeah.
fires and bombings and everything else, but also to get rid of a mode of transportation that was ready to explode, figuratively speaking. And because even Napoleon, I saw a drawing that was made. I don't know if Napoleon drew it or one of his generals or lieutenants or whatever,
Mhm.
of their plan to attack Britain, like to take over Britain. And
Oh,
that drawing had airships and balloons, and the balloons were like dropping bombs, like they were attached to ropes and stuff, and so they were dropping bombs, and it involved like tunnels and all this other. It was like this really extraordinary, complex plan to take England. But
Oh,
almost the whole image, it was just like all these balloons and airships were kind of dotting the sky.
isn't that
Um,
interesting?
so people were thinking about it. People
Yeah.
were thinking about the skies, like they wanted to travel that way.
Hmm.
Um,
Definitely
and I-
Germans. I mean, when you look at the Hindenburg and all
yes,
of the airships, they all had the German, the what is it? The symbol from the
swastika.
but the other one that they used to have for the Reich, the Third Reich, whatever that stuff. Along
Mm,
with it, kind of looked like a little different from the swastika, but it was all those
yeah,
airships had the German. Wasn't one called something? It's like a German
hold on.
name. Can't make it
Let's
out
see.
now, but yeah, I think Germany was really ahead of the. Germany was
Just trying to
pretty.
see if I can find an image here, because a lot of the ones that I find they seem to always have the Nazis or the swastika on it.
Swastika, yeah, which is not a
Like
bad symbol,
like this,
Yeah,
like this
that's
one, for
Graf.
example,
Yeah, that one. Yeah. The Graf Zeppelin and all.
like
That's
that.
the one I'm talking about. Yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah, like the Luftwaffe used to use this.
Okay. Oh
That's
yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it would be on like all the biplanes, like on the
Okay.
sides of the planes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of that?
It
Uh,
just seems like this is all out of Germany. All of this
yes,
at that
in
time.
Western Europe and that kind of stuff, because this
Right.
one here, of course, with this little Tartarian looking little structure,
I love that
oh,
structure, by the way. So beautiful.
it's called the Graf Zeppelin airship flying over Alexander Nevsky Cathedral in Sofia, Bulgaria in 1929. Apparently, it's colorized.
Hmm.
Felt like this photo deserved its own post. Let's see. On 17th of October 1929, the German airship, Graf Zeppelin flies over Sofia. It is greeted by the city with a bell ring from the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. The airship flies over Sofia for more than 20 minutes. The government stops their daily meeting, and everyone is rushing out on the streets to see this monstrous human creation. And this is again from that dude we were talking about before, Shem Jacobs. So here's a bigger, a little bigger.
That looks like an amazing thing to see. Like, I can't imagine just how breathtaking that must have been.
Yeah, because it's not like it's a jet flying over where it's gone in a second. It's like you can sit there and kind of gawk at it for a little bit. And
and it looks like it moves very smooth, and it just looks like it would be dreamy. Like
because it has these teeny little propellers on it, that just keep it kind of going in a direction.
Exactly. And you notice it's not a lot of people, even though they want to tell us, oh, look at all the people. That in the Sophia right here, this structure, doesn't it look flooded out? Because look at the street around it. Like, it looks like dust roads. That's what's so crazy about that, whole thing is like, for a structure this elaborate, you're not going to have dusty roads around it.
Or a real small population
and
that built all these structures all over the place, but yet they can't fill a street to gawk at a wonder of the world at that time.
Yeah, like, the narrative you just read, they shut down the government offices to come out, and this is all the people for a big church like that. I mean, alone.
If this was Sri Lanka, the streets would be filled.
Exactly.
They'd be sleeping in the governor's bed or the prime minister's bed. They'd be jumping in his pool. I don't know if you saw that. They were doing cannonballs. They were doing cannonballs into the pool.
When they were taking selfies
on the treadmill and everything. And it's like,
that's the best. We are living in the apocalypse. Like, we get to see they're totally doing, like, they were probably doing TikTok videos. Like, I'd love to have all their
a new TikTok challenge at the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's palace or whatever.
They look like they were at a P. Diddy, like the Hamptons party, right?
Or like the houses of the rich and famous, or like cribs or whatever it's called. Like
exactly. Puffy's white party in the Hamptons.
Yes, Lady Knievel. Iron Cross. Thank you. Iron Cross. That's what it is.
Oh yeah. The
Iron Cross. Thank you. I was going to go to bed now. I was going to keep me up.
Or you pop up. It's the Iron Cross.
Casey says I clap when they jumped in the pool. Karen says they showed them in the palace jumping all in the pool. Yes, they were.
That's great. I love that.
That was awesome. And
that really was.
Kudos to the Sri Lankans for not putting up with it, and to the Netherlands people not putting up with it as well. So let that be a lesson to Australia and Canada and other countries that think this is going to continue. And history proves and continues to prove, especially when you try to destroy it, that it repeats itself. And again, going to be showing you're the minority here in a real quick second. So this was interesting. I don't know why, but weird skulls always fascinate me. When I see crap like, I shouldn't say crap, when I see stuff like this, found in the desert to the south of Lima, Peru, near the Nazca lines. And if you're not familiar with the Nazca lines, they're the ones that are up in the high plateaus that you can only see from in the air. Like you can't see the design from the ground. You have to actually be in a plane above them. This skull has an unusual shape and looks like his or her brain would be large in volume. You can visually see that the right and left frontal parts are bulging out and expanded. Judging by the size, the skull belonged to an individual at least 10 feet in height. So many different beings hidden to our past, and yet some people still squabble over skin color. If only they searched outside of the mainstream narrative. What do you think? And the whole giant thing still fascinates me because I'm 100% convinced that there's at least one race of giants, at least, and if not more, and so that stuff just, it always fascinates me.
Yeah. That's amazing because just the shape of that head. but the size, when you do think about compared to the person holding it, just how much bigger they would be in height. That's pretty impressive.
And she looks, I can't tell by her expression if she's happy she found it or if she's afraid she's going to turn yellow and go back on horseback through New York City. And
you know, they may have, when you think about cultures down in South American countries, they may have some myths and
that's true.
They, you know, because when I
Some
was
bad juju might happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The look on the face is kind of like, I better handle this a certain way because I was told by my grandma that this will happen.
Take a picture of it yourself. Why are you making me hold it?
Yeah, that's the look. It's kind of a nervous, like, I don't know if I should be doing this.
There's, speaking of which, another segue, color. This made me think of that. Is everybody familiar with the concept of straw man?
Yeah, I really am into this again. I want to circle back and learn because I've been re-familiarizing myself with this concept.
This is a really important concept with the whole thing that's happening in the world right now, because and I came across this again. You know, I've got a bunch of stuff on it, but I came across this again because, I thought, why not just mention it? We're not going to dwell a whole lot on it, but so you know what the concept of a straw man is. So, and there's a gentleman, I can't remember the name of his channel. It's some kind of warrior. He's been on Scott McKay's show a couple times early on, like a year and a half or so ago.
Oh, okay.
And he talks about the concept of, sovereignty and the straw man and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he does an amazing job of explaining it and and he even won a court battle in Canada because of it.
Nice. That's great when people win these, battles, because the earlier people have had to fight really hard. And it was dangerous when they started, to fight these battles.
Yes. And that's, again, the fear factor. It's like,
right,
we're bigger than you. We have the guns, we have the military, we have the whatever, the police, the whatever. So you better just go along with it. Even though it's not right, you better go along with it. So let's see, the straw man. They took your footprint at birth to claim your soul before you stepped on soil, depriving your birthright as a living soul to a dead entity. We are all considered legally dead at birth because our parents, like PAIR, not PAR, parents unknowingly signed us to the government as a corporation. When we're born, when we're born, the government created this corporation in our name, written in all caps. And think about this, and this is an important thing. Every legal document that has your name on it, like a driver's license or like a birth certificate, social security, whatever, that kind of stuff. I don't know if they still do now. I don't know if they're trying to hide it, but up until very, very recently, it was always, always, always in caps, all caps.
Right.
Which is what you would do with a corporation when you're creating a corporation.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there was somebody, I don't remember who it was. Sorry if you're watching. They did an experiment with their bank. This was, I believe, in Chicago. And this person said to the bank, and I don't know what document or whatever they were talking about. They were doing something with their savings account or their checking account or whatever. But they refused to sign the document with all caps. Like they didn't, like this document had their name in all caps, and they said, well, if you can just redo this document so just our first letter of the first name and first letter of that last name is capitalized and everything else is lowercase, we'll go ahead and sign it. And they wouldn't do it. Matter of fact, after like 2 weeks of going around and around with the bank manager and other people, somebody up the ladder sent down a request to close their account and get, they can't do business with you, is what they basically said. We can't do business with you.
Wow.
So it's an important concept to understand.
It is.
So
it is.
Let's see.
It's good that you're bringing this up at this time because I've been sensing. It's funny how we're all. It's not fun. I mean, I understand we're on the same kind of like thing at this time because I've been interested. It was something that someone said that made me want to revisit all of this because I'd hear people talk about it, especially from the conscious community from New York City. Karen knows a lot of those kind of guys. Those kind of conscious guys. They talk about
Mhm.
esoteric things and occult, and they talk about this kind of stuff right here because they are part of like the Moors. You've heard that, right? The
Oh yeah,
Moors.
yes.
And so they've been trying to tell, like when I would hear them talk about this stuff, it wasn't that I didn't believe what they were saying, but I think I was so programmed, deep in the programming that I felt like, what's it
It doesn't
gonna,
matter.
yeah,
Yeah,
what's it gonna do? I know you're
yeah.
telling the truth. We're being
You're not the
taxed.
boss of me. They're not
Yeah,
the boss of me.
I was like, yeah, we're being taxed by us. We're all partying together with the getting taxed. Come on and shut up, go back to sleep. I mean, and you're too busy to care. Right. So, but this is time. It's time now that the states' rights are shifting back. And I feel it's time for us to revisit this and correct our status, if that's what it's called. Get back to the law.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the law of the land, not the maritime law.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play this video. It's not too long, but it's kind of one of those like you would have seen in the 40s or 50s at school or something like that. Like it's enjoyable, and it deals with this straw man concept real quick
Oh, nice.
because I do think it's important that you guys understand this.
It is important.
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking tickets or taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oops-a-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Did you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super! Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your, straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well, then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules for things they don't like. Not enough school? Smacking your child? Shouting too loudly? Then it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man, So you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man or legal personality is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy. Would you like to know more? Well, then go over to tpuc.org. Get up, get informed, and get real.
That was adorable. I enjoyed that. Wow, you
I
find
almost feel like I almost feel like that nuclear attack video should come after this. Like,
exactly that. I love the whole everything about that period of time. That was really good. It explained such a it's kind of a hard concept, but that was really well explained.
yeah, it's not in depth, but it gets the basic idea that there's two entities. There's you, which is the person, not the entity. And like this graphic kind of shows it a little bit. Like as a man, like you're a man as you, or a person as the entity. And that was one of the distinctions this gentleman made. And I wish I remember his name. And that's why in court, they always they will never say they'll always say a person of, or they'll never say like a man or they won't give you like a sovereign kind of entity kind of thing. Like it'll always be like you're referring to yourself in the third person almost. So it's just, God, I wish I remembered his website.
Wow. Yeah. Is it the guy out of England that he's the postmaster? Is that who you're talking about? Or you're talking about
I think I thought he was out of Canada. A Warrior Calls, that's what it is.
Oh, gotcha.
Let's see. A Warrior Calls. Let's see.
Sounds familiar. A Warrior Calls.
There we go. All right. So if you go to his website, it's called awarriorcalls.com. Let's see. One Truth Will Save Our World. He has a lot of live streams that you can register for.
Okay, nice.
His
name initially sounded familiar. You know how you found people like years ago when you kind of lost touch? Because I lost my original channel, and so I lost a lot.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So some names sound like he sounds like he might.
Christopher James is his name.
Is that his name? Okay.
Yeah, Ontario. So he lives in Canada.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's see. He says, I was born December 10th. He goes into his whole blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have to go into a long story. Let's see. Anyway, he has a lot of resources on here as far as like the foundational knowledge you need for this whole thing.
Okay.
He's got the common law.
Oh, good. That's a good site. Thanks.
So he goes into where is it? He's got a repository of stuff here.
Okay.
And like if you go into like core words, private prosecutions, driver's license, charter rights, court of public opinion, casework, and it goes into some of these different cases that he's been working on or he has been part of. Okay. Law enforcement, knowledge in general, social media, blah blah blah. But he has a lot of good information. So if you're interested in the idea of the whole of what we were just talking about, check his site out. It's pretty good.
Good suggestion. Thank you. And you know what's interesting about you bringing up the fact that he is out of Canada? It appears that we have a lot in common with the nation states, because it seems to me that original constitutions were probably usurped around the same time, and it's probably the 90 period, like or probably the 1700s, before they had all of those. Notice they had those revolutionary wars and civil wars. It was like all this period of wars in all these different nations. I believe that's when they were usurping all of their authorities and changing their constitution. So it's interesting that we have a lot in common with other people in other nations, like even Sri Lanka, and remember Myanmar. And what has become more clear to me is the changing of all these countries' names over the last few decades. That's because of these kind of things like treaties and authority. I see it now. It's so like obvious that they've been up to these tricks and trying to keep their hands on these countries, but the people are tired and they're all feeling the same way all over the world. And I'm so excited for the people to rise up the way they are. And what happened in Sri Lanka, I could just say I support them. I don't want to see people get hurt, of course, but hey, you can't get freedom. Just it's not always pretty.
What's the phrase? F around and find out.
Yes, I like that. They definitely found out, and they're all going to find out, because have you heard the prediction that that's going to happen in Canada Stan next? What happened in Sri Lanka? We're going to see a big toppling.
I keep saying it. I've been saying it since the beginning, and since these people keep trying to tighten the noose. You better pay attention to history. I'm not promoting violence or anything, but history shows that you squeeze the people, you starve them, you take away their modes of transportation because the fuel prices are so ridiculous. You make their money worthless. They're not going to sit at home.
No.
And just saying,
the Americans are I believe we're the biggest threat, of course, because they focus so much on us.
We have been ever since the country was founded. We have been the biggest threat to this whole. We're the cog. We're the. That's why they want to disarm us so bad.
Yeah, they work on us.
Why the
so
Japanese did not come and attack us on our own soil, other than bomb us at Pearl Harbor, because in their words, they were afraid that there was an American behind every blade of grass with a gun. And they knew they would face resistance immediately. And that's, thank God for our founding fathers putting that in place. Like, hey, if your government decides to flip on you, and it's in the Constitution that you should be allowed to have your own militia, a citizen militia or whatever, and you should not let it stand. But again, it's the whole idea of the whole threat versus force, the whole there's more of us than you, put the fear in you, you get out of line, we're going to send the police to your house, or we're going to well, now they've weaponized the FBI, so we'll send the FBI to your house or whatever, or we'll send Hunter Biden, part of the Biden crime family. We'll send him over with his crack pipe, and maybe you can go skinny dipping in your pool or whatever. And speaking of diving into pools,
oh gosh,
see the videos that came out like the last couple of days
with Hunter?
Yeah,
I saw one today where he is measuring crack rocks.
Yeah, he's weighing his crack. It was like 21 grams or whatever it was. 22 grams.
21 grams. And I was listening to a commentary where the guy was bringing up the fact that he was playing Joe Biden back in the 90s. And Joe Biden was so like he just spoke so like like I know he speaks arrogantly now, but he's a clown now. But back then he was when you listen to his speeches on the Senate floor, they were so racist. Like this guy is literally the racist. And I can't believe that so many Black people are part of the Democratic Party to this day. Like the gaslighting is out of control. That they don't. And I had Black people fighting me when I would bring up a point where he was saying he didn't want his children in a jungle with the Black kids, and he was like, "You don't want your mom, and you don't want them in your neighborhood." And some Black people were saying, "Well, people can change. People can change," and I'm like, really? These are the same people that like they bring up if they don't like a person, they bring up what they did like 50 years ago, but they want to gloss over what Biden said when he was presenting the crime bill in 1991. He was literally saying if you had one crack rock, you got 5 years straight off, 5 years. And he said, no judge is going to be able to help you. You get no parole. I mean, it was the harshest stuff for one crack rock. So if they counted it, each crack rock is 5 years, right? Isn't
Something
that
like
how
that.
So Hunter Biden's crack rocks, right, that we watched him measuring, how many years in jail should Hunter be like locked up for?
He's the smartest man Joe knows, though.
I'm just asking.
He just called his stepmom to see you next Tuesday.
Yes. Stepmoms that's a hard job to have. I have had two myself.
Poor Dr. Jill.
Yeah, Dr. Jill, she's a high-powered stepmom, I can't imagine how hard that was. And she was the nanny, right? Allegedly, wasn't she?
I don't know. Well, the way he treated his dead brother's wife or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if she was more than a nanny. But
yeah, I think she started out as his nanny. She was an underage, girl.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the nanny. So that has to be hard for Hunter that his nanny became his stepmother. How awkward is that? Yes. Casey's saying she was the nanny. You know what it is with me, Casey and John and I have heard all these stories like prior to, but my brain can't wrap itself around that this is real. I guess if I can't believe it, of course the normies can't believe it, because I have heard this stuff and I still go, no way did he do that. He smoked crack with the mayor of DC and bragged about it, Marion Barry. Yes, he did. You can look it up. He literally said that he smoked crack with Marion Barry. You can't make the jokes up. They write themselves. And you know what? That's what's so weird about the time we're in. These boring talk shows, like night talk shows, they have no ratings. But if they started like roasting the Bidens, their ratings would go through the roof, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Supremacy of poison. Yes, I know. He and Hillary loved Robert Byrd.
Gaslighting, the biggest gaslighter. I mean, the whole party. It's
the whole. It is.
The party of slavery has been the party of slavery since day one.
Haven't they pulled one over on the people? Like this party is literally gaslighting the hell out of people. It's funny at this point. I'm not mad. I'm laughing. If anybody is that stupid, I'm laughing. I don't have I don't care anymore. I'm laughing. I am, because
I know I'm not going to get into it because I have a whole folder on this whole underage Jill Biden thing, or before she was Jill Biden, and that kind of stuff. And I've got a whole. So for my handlers that are watching, I do have a whole folder on my hard drive of the Biden crime family. And what they've done. I'm sure I'm not the only one, because the interwebs don't forget.
That's right. They don't. But it's amazing. We're upside down weird time where this stuff is now leaking into the normie news, which is like, that's shocking to me. I'm like, wait a minute. They're saying this? They're reporting on it now? What?
I know. Speaking of Myanmar, I was going to play this while you were talking about Myanmar, but I was just like, I don't want to interrupt her. But for those of you that never saw this, like, or didn't realize that, basically the military in Myanmar arrested the president and everybody else for voter fraud, having a crooked election and that kind of stuff. Somebody made this meme, and it still to this day, hey, Julie, still to this day, it's funny to me. I don't know why, but it is. I'm sorry, we started the memes a little early tonight, but I put that out with the caption, coming to a country near you.
What? That was 2020, right? Myanmar?
Yeah, that was, you're in it.
Was it 2021?
Let's see. It was probably 6 to 9 months after our debacle.
Oh, okay. Right. That's right.
It was still fresh in people's minds, like that this is a possibility. It
was the first, right? The first kind of card to fall.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was a test
to
see how the general public would react to a military taking over a country because of election fraud. So
yeah, that's right. And that was fascinating. I want to circle back. And
we will circle back to that. Jennifer and I will do a different show on a different platform, and we'll circle back to that because I do want to cover that a little more in depth.
That would be interesting because I'm starting to think, Myanmar used to be called Burma.
Burma, yes.
I'm sure we're all like the same. You were the
and
kid
Sri Lanka is in that area.
Yeah, Sri Lanka is the Cuba of India. It's the Cuba.
Yes, exactly.
That's Paul Romano.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that was how because Paul Romano used to live in India. He was like, yeah, Sri Lanka is like Cuba to India. I was like, okay, I get it now. You go there for vacations, it's very corrupt, just like Cuba.
And they have Burmese tigers.
Yeah, the Burmese tigers and all that great stuff. Now, Myanmar, Burma, when I was coming up, and like I'm sure you remember, and you were the kind of people that like to look at the globe. I would look at the globe all the time. Yeah. I was always looking at, I loved all of that and maps. And I remember, I would memorize a lot of countries because I would dream of traveling there one day. So Burma was always interesting, and Siam. Remember they actually had like, what is Siam? Was that part of Burma? They've messed with these countries so much that I don't remember. There was Rhodesia at one time.
Yes. Yep. Because there was Rhodesian Ridgebacks. I had a Rhodesian Ridgeback dog.
That's right. And I had
they used to be lion hunters. They kept these dogs to defend themselves against lions.
That's right. These dogs were fabulous. I've only seen a few over the years. And then Burma, I have a cat that's mixed with my daughter's cat, mixed with Burmese. She's half Burmese. He's half Burmese, half Siamese. So isn't that funny?
Siam is in Thailand.
Was that Thailand? Okay, so all these places, I'm starting to think Burma, Myanmar probably has something in terms of resources and probably their currency situation. If they fell first, I'm going to be interested in what's been happening over there since they locked that woman up. She was horrible. And it would be the equivalent of watching Hillary literally get locked up finally. Like,
yes.
Everybody watched her perp walk. That was like the magnitude of them locking up that woman.
She was exactly that. She was buddies with Soros's son. Soros's son actually worked for her or with her in her cabinet or whatever. And HRC and Barry Obama used to visit them quite frequently. Let's see. Hold on a second here.
Interesting.
You can keep talking. My brain's moving now, and you got me moving in a totally different direction, which you always do, which is fine.
I'm just thinking that I now want to know what's so like there's something deep and ancient going on with Myanmar, Burma, for them to be the first. Oh, look at her. She is hanging with Hillary.
The gang's all here.
That is hilarious.
Let the human trafficking begin.
Can you imagine all that was going on? Whoa, she was a wicked little chick. And she was living so high on the hog, and to be thrown into,
She was untouchable.
Yeah, she felt
quote unquote, she was untouchable.
Oh boy, she really fell from grace. That was yeah, we don't understand the magnitude, because even in our red pilled news, it didn't, you know what I'm saying, translate how big that was.
Yes.
We should still be talking about what happened there, actually. It should still be like in the cycles.
Yeah. We should. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
On a totally unrelated subject. I came across this because I've never thought about it before, and seeing this picture made me think, well, you've gone your whole life and you think about things, and then you think, how come I've never asked that question before? How come I've never? So I ran across this. This is the first photograph showing a person. Although the street appears to be deserted, many believe this is the first photograph to include a human image. The photograph was taken by Louis Daguerre, however you pronounce it, in Paris in 1838. So I thought that was weird. Like, this is like, I never thought about it. What is like the first photograph of a person? And you can see right here, this person right here.
Wow.
So apparently that's the actual documented first. Well, I don't know if it's for sure, but according to the narrative history, this is the first image of a person taken.
Weird.
I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, I saw the first selfie. If you want to look up the first selfie, I had found that when I started the mud flood thing, because when they talked about when photography was introduced.
Will Google have it?
Yeah, they should have it. But look at the picture you just shared. It was again a deserted town. Like nobody looked like they were.
That's where I was going with it.
That's so whoever was taking the picture, they had to have been far and probably up high, right? Like in a window in a home taking that picture. Wouldn't you think, the way that it looked like it was from a height to me?
You would think.
And the light.
I'm going to show an image, and you tell me if this is the one that you're talking about.
Okay. Yes,
This
that's
one
it.
here?
That's the first selfie. So I had put that in some stuff when I first started the whole Tartarian thing. But look, doesn't he look like he's doing the thing with the hand?
Yeah, it looked. Do you remember Zoolander? Did you ever see the movie Zoolander?
Yes.
Remember the look? He always had looks, but they were all the same look. The last one was Blue Steel or whatever it was. This is Blue Steel. This is the first ever Blue Steel. You guys saw it here.
That's so funny. That is so funny. And by the way, the other one that you named, the other picture you showed, the Durag or Duag, that's the name of a filter. That it's named after that. You can put a filter on like pictures with that name. So they named it after. Yeah.
What was I talking about? What was it?
You can make a picture look kind of like, sepia, but that name, whatever that name, I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's a filter.
When
you're
I don't remember what I was talking about when I mentioned that. I'm trying to find the picture.
Yes, Julie knows How do you pronounce that, Julie? Like
Oh,
I could
De Geer. That's because I pronounced it
Is-
wrong.
De Geer. Okay, De Geer. That's
What was
the
I talking about?
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I don't remember what I was talking about, but anyway. So yeah, I've heard of the filter. I've never used it, but
Okay.
there's some striking coincidences that I want to talk about from this last week,
Okay.
and we're gonna do a little. You're gonna have to put some tinfoil on for this one. So you guys that are part of this channel should have plenty. So there shouldn't be any empty. There you go. How am I going to word this? That's not going to sound super crazy.
Put your seatbelts on.
I just think it's that's probably going to get me kicked off the channel for 3 weeks, but if you followed me or Jennifer in the early days of this, we may have mentioned the Q posts or the back channel posts and that kind of stuff. And I just think it's interesting that Q started posting again recently, and CERN fired up this past week as well. Because the only reason I bring this up, and I've talked about this before, there's a building or an area around CERN. Let me get my graphics. Hold on. I gotta have my graphics.
Gotta have them.
Let's see here.
You know what, Julie? That name sounds like cheese to me now.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Doesn't it sound like a fancy French cheese?
Okay. As you know, CERN is a gigantic, like 20-some mile loop. And there is a facility right here called Alice that's part of this whole thing here.
Okay.
And remember they suddenly, like in 2018 or 19, whatever it was, they closed CERN down because they were going to do, quote unquote, they were going to do some upgrades or do some whatever. Like it was very kind of cryptic as to what they were doing.
And we didn't expect it to stop like it did either. I don't know. It was weird.
So, but keep Alice in mind.
Okay.
The name Alice, like Alice in Wonderland. Alice.
That's what I think, yeah.
One moment, please. It's like I'm the man behind I'm like a magician trying to get my trick ready, like get my hands on the curtain or whatever, trying to,
Right. That's okay. We're patient because we know this is going to be pretty deep. Get my
Okay. So if you go to the back channel, as we call it, used to be 4chan, 8chan, 8kun, whatever it's called, but you can still find it like on qag.news. They've archived it there. And just type in the word Alice. All right. So Alice is referenced many times in the drops.
Oh, wow.
There is, let's see here, and most of them are Alice in Wonderland. The one I want to focus on is drop 74, which is one of the first drops.
Okay.
Boink. Let's see. Oh, I can't make it larger. But if you see the first line in this drop, Q equals Alice.
Oh.
Why do you think Q always knows ahead of time what's happening or what's going to happen? It's that kind of stuff. If you believe in it, I'm not saying you have to believe in it.
It's interesting. Now, I was following the drops like in 2020. So when did it stop? Like
yes, Karen, this is what I'm getting towards. Looking Glass said there's an Alice floor. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. I saw the diagrams for that. Like back in 2020, I was down in that rabbit hole. But like, remember when YouTube had all those like people still on YouTube back then, right? So they were talking. It was flooded with that kind of stuff then before they were bounced off. But When did they stop the drops, John? Like
I think the last one was like in 2019, and
they stopped
they
them
just,
then? Oh, okay.
yeah, he just started posting again a couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago. Okay.
He
Got
or it. The only reason I say it is because I'm not 100% convinced that the entity known as Q or the group known as, because there is a Q group, just that's 100% fact. That's been around since Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also refers to Q clearance, which is one of the highest clearances you need for security.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big, obviously, nuclear quantum physics buff and entanglement and quantum computers and that kind of thing. And the looking glass is something that I've studied a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if what we're talking about is not a person, but a quantum computer?
Mm-hmm.
And that just happens to be some of these things they're working on, like Alice at CERN.
Mm-hmm.
What if these guys said, okay, we're taking over now, and we're going to, we need this for something else. So I just thought it was interesting that CERN started up this week, along with all the other stuff that happened with, the Georgia Guidestones coming down. And then you had that place in Italy near the Vatican or whatever that was always associated with evil stuff and trafficking, and that was struck by lightning. And
Really?
a chunk of it came off.
Really? I didn't hear about that one. Oh.
Yep, that happened right after, like the day after.
Okay. Wow.
So there's a lot of things that are happening that point that almost like is pointing a finger and wants you to look at, see this thing that's been associated with evil for this amount of time, it's gone. See this one, it's gone. It's like God has a sense of humor, or that he's showing that. All right, now it's my turn, kind of thing. Remember what happened in Toledo, not last year, whenever it was, when that George Floyd mural got struck by lightning and destroyed it on the side of a building. The side of a building. When have you ever heard of lightning striking the side of a building and destroying a mural? Specifically that mural.
Exactly. I laughed so hard. I posted about that because it was so funny, and it was destroyed.
That's in our business, that's what we might call ironic.
Exactly. I love God's sense of humor, because it has to be, at this point, everything is so absurd that we've always said God has a sense of humor. I really mean it. I believe that he does. And this is it's like honey with your medicine, your strong medicine. I don't think I could do it without laughing. Like getting through this time period. It's like laughter has been so helpful for me.
And I think it's, for a lot of us, I think that's why it's been done the way it has, and purposely done the way, because we are getting a laugh out of it. We get it. And that, we don't call it Clown World for nothing. And Jeremy Irons.
Some of the laughs are belly laughs. Like, haven't you really belly laughed? So like the endorphins, we're getting doses, or your body is just like hailing.
Have you met me? Jeremy, do you guys know who Jeremy Irons is, right?
Yes.
The actor, he's played a bunch of stuff. He's played the voice of not Mufasa, but whatever, from Lion King, the bad lion, not the good lion. Okay. Scar or whatever his name is.
Oh, he did. I didn't know that. Okay. I
saw this video. It's not a long video, but he has a lot of fans, and I don't know what the base of his fans are made of, as far as where they, where their mind is as far as the world is concerned and stuff like that.
Right.
But him and some others have been dropping some major red pills lately. I want to play this video because I think if you haven't seen this video,
wow.
And I can't remember what country he's in, but it's in another country. I think he lives in another country, and I think it might be that country that he lives in.
Okay.
So
wow.
So listen to what he says.
What do you know about Portugal? And do you know that we are bankrupt right now?
I know that you and where I live, Ireland, yes, we're all bankrupt. We all owe billions of dollars and billions of whatevers to somebody. I'm not sure who it is we owe it to, but there's somebody out there who must be really pissed off.
Yes.
Because I mean, the Americans owe something like $300 trillion to somebody. Who is it? Who did it? Is it to him?
This is one of the guys.
Yeah. Is this something to do with your? Okay, one of the guys. But do you understand who we owe this money to?
To the bank guys, to 5 families.
But who are these bank guys?
The 5 families.
Why don't they stand up, come here, and we could say,
hello,
sit down, let's talk about this, you know.
Have a nice chat.
Yeah.
How do you see, as a successful man, this war between, a kind of philosophical war between the north countries of Europe through the south as peaks, the new as peaks, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Spain, and Italy. This south, the problem of Europe is the south people, they don't like to work.
Well, you see, I think we all work too much. I think that we've been brainwashed into being told that we have to spend all our lives working. We never used to do that, not before the Industrial Revolution. I mean, one would sort of, you know, the Irish, for instance, they would plant their potatoes in the, I suppose it would be the sort of winter. In the autumn, they plant their seed potatoes. And then they would sit and they would drink and they would sing and they would eat and they would wait for the potatoes to come up. And then, you know, that was their life. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it in Spain? Going to sleep.
This reminds me of your whole island thing that we were talking about a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Which
like
one?
where everybody's just like living off and you go visit each other and you're
exactly. I'm visualizing it. And he's from Ireland, so you think of the island and just frequent, like the vibe of island living. Yeah. Wow.
For 3 hours in the afternoon. It's wonderful. It's so civilized. But we are you see, the problem is that in the north, like you know, Germany and not France, because France is in a terrible mess, but you know, England, we're told that we're put on this planet to work, and we work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night or whatever. And if we're lucky, we have a Saturday off and a Sunday off, and then we can go and buy things. But I don't think that's how life should be. And a lot of countries, I mean, Germany, for instance, you know, has lent lots of people lots of money. And well, they're very stupid to have done that. Because it's very clear that
I think Germany has a plan.
I think they have a plan too. Yes. I think they tried it militarily twice, and they didn't win. And so now they thought, well, we'll do it economically. And we'll just, you know, lend everybody. It's an old trick, isn't it? Shylock did it in Merchant of Venice. Lend, 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 and then say, now I want it back. Oh, you can't pay it. Well, give me this, give me that, give me your house, give me your life, give me your country. And I think we have to say, sorry.
Wow. That's amazing. I never heard him speak like, you know, other than being in movies. He is really dropping a lot of truth. Wow.
It's, you know, Lady Knievel says, I think of Alice from Mel's Diner. I just saw that. We were talking about Alice.
That's a good
good old Mel's Diner. Forgot about that show.
That's right.
Wasn't there like a Flo or something like that? Or
oh yeah, Flo was the one that said "kiss my grits." Remember?
Yeah, that's right. That was Flo. Kiss my grits. And now, since we're talking about celebrities, this is a little, obviously, an older video, but Michael Jackson was one of the biggest red pillars of all time, and people ignored him. Him and Prince, actually. But Michael Jackson, now, you know, in this movement, we have something that everybody says, and we say it all the time. You hear it all the time. You read it all the time. The best is yet to come. Right. Michael Jackson was the one that pushed that. Whenever he would drop these red pills, he would say the best is yet to come.
Right,
Listen to what
right.
Mr. Jackson has to say right here. Since we've completely veered off subject, I'm just going down this road. So we're going to do this.
Love it. I love it. Just keep going.
Books are not true. It's a lie. The history books are lies. You need to know that. You must know that. It's time for a change. Let's not leave this building and forget what has been said. Put it into your heart, put it into your subconscious mind, and let's do something about it. Because it's been a long, long time coming. And a change has got to come.
Yeah, I met him one time in South Africa. He happened to be there. I happened to be there. And he had a list of books lined up all along the floor. And I looked over and I said, yo, like, people just sending you stuff like that. He says, no, that's what I read. I mean, he had everything from the autobiography of Malcolm X, Eat to Live. He had Sri Aurobindo, Krishnamurti. We sat there 3 hours, man, chopping it up about all of this. From metaphysics to psychology to how the black man is treated. People don't know about Mike on the real. Mike had a consciousness that could blow your mind.
And he was definitely trying to heal the world in his own way. Michael Jackson, man,
Healed me.
See newsflash. It's being reported in America that the pop star Michael Jackson has died. The singer was rushed to hospital in Los Angeles earlier this evening. He was taken to UCLA Medical Center in the city. The LA Times and entertainment websites are reporting that he died following a cardiac arrest. Well, the newspaper quoted law enforcement sources on its website saying that the star was pronounced dead by doctors after arriving at a hospital in a deep coma. In America that the pop star Michael Jackson has died. The singer was rushed to hospital in Los Angeles earlier this evening. He was taken to UCLA Medical Center in the city. The LA Times and entertainment websites are reporting that he died.
Anyway, that's going to lead me into something here. Hold on. I wanted to throw that little squirrel or groundhog in there for good measure.
That was funny. I didn't want to laugh. I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing.
But he was one of the biggest red pillars. He truly cared about people, and they came after him hard with this whole molesting kids and all this other crap that they tried to pin on him.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Wow. Yeah. He had those little impromptu like gatherings where he was just like revealing stuff. Like it was really deep.
I feel so bad for it. For people like him that want to do good, that really want to do good. And I don't know if you've all seen this video, but I'm going to play a string of videos here since we're on this. I'm feeling something right now. I'm just going to ignore some of the stuff that's in the folder right now. Hey, kitty. I'm going to play. I'm not going to say anything if you haven't seen the video. So I'm just going to play this. Apparently there's no sound. And of course the video quality is excellent.
You know it. They had all the helicopters around.
I was being facetious. Like it's because I'm going to pause it here in a second.
Okay. Yes, I saw that. That's crazy. Okay.
I'm not trying to imply anything or
I
say
know, but
that's true, but
yeah.
when there's smoke,
Yeah, and the way that person hopped out, it definitely.
he had his stature.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
And why would someone do this? Like in the coroner's van, like that is bizarre. Yeah, that was the smoking gun for me. Like when I saw that, I was like, okay, this here is hard to. Yeah.
All right, let's see here.
I hope Josephine is not freaking you guys out with her.
Oh no. Yeah, she's just like,
I never know when she's gonna do this. She's
giving us the stink eye. She is. Look, she's got that. She's like, I see you guys. I see you over there.
I'm gonna try to act like she's not there. Okay.
Yeah, right.
This is totally
Good
normal.
luck.
Totally normal when you have one of these creatures.
Okay, here we go.
I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret. Say it. Please don't videotape what I'm going to say, okay? Turn that off, please. No, what? I don't mind. Tape it. Oh! Tommy Mottola is a devil. I promise you, the best is yet to come.
That, that video is so uplifting, like in terms of it's so dramatic. It makes you just think that if you go along with the possibility of him doing the, changing his status, I look at it, it's not faking your death. If you find out that the system is rigged against you and you have a birth certificate and you decide to get on the land, and you know what I'm saying? So are you faking your death? I asked people that when I was looking into it. I was like, yeah.
So
exactly.
Our friend had a very close relationship with Mr. Jackson. And in Neverland, if you look at this symbol of this child with its leg over, it looks a lot like something to me anyway. See if you look at the Neverland symbol here, or the logo.
Yeah.
And think about, like, one of the focuses of this movement has always been about the children. It's always been about human trafficking, child trafficking, and that kind of stuff. Of which they tried to accuse Michael Jackson of, creeping around kids and that kind of thing. But it was quite the opposite. I wholeheartedly believe Michael Jackson created Neverland and what he did towards the end of his life to help kids, to really help these kids that may have been victims of trafficking or abused homes, or, whatever the case was. So take it for what you will. I'm not trying to say, hey, this is 100% blah, blah, blah. Just something to think about. Something.
Yeah, it is.
Along with this craziness that's going on, something to think about in the back of your mind. And
truly. Yeah, because I see that things are just so upside down. And the way that these narratives have been hounding people like that. And then when you go down into learning about the contracts that they sign in the music industry, they are slave contracts. I mean, all of those entertainment contracts are.
Ask Britney Spears.
Her situation, it should be a case study. I mean, that right there is unbelievable. It's still coming out because she's going to go to court. She's got
Do you
one of
see?
the
Do you see Liz Crokin's video she put out the other day?
Oh, is she back doing videos? I hadn't seen
Well, she's
Liz.
on Telegram. She's on Telegram, and I follow her on Telegram.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen her, but you know how I was talking about people that used to be 2020, they were all on YouTube. She was one of them. And I missed that crowd. It was like, you know, it was, what's her name? She called herself Snarky. Linda Paris. Remember Linda Paris was on YouTube like daily. And yeah, I used to watch Liz, and yeah, I haven't seen anything she's done in a while.
And for those of you that, you know, there's just way too many coincidences for some things not to be, to me, plausible or real. And that's just my personal belief. And especially with somebody's relationship with the military. And actually, he came out not too long ago and he reiterated, he gave the name of a particular general.
This cat
as
is
to,
crazy. I'm sorry.
oh, she's fine.
She's
as to the reason why, like, he was like the straw that broke the camel's back as to the reason why he decided to run for president. And he quoted this particular general, and he says, like, he said something to the effect of, he was almost implying like he told me some things that he probably wouldn't have told anybody else, and like I was the only one that could do this job, kind of thing, and like he convinced me to do it. So he came out and he said that again recently.
Oh yeah.
And I always love this picture, this army picture, because they just like making stuff like this, you know. And for those of you that, you know, this is actually at the headquarters for the 1st Theater Sustainment Command, U.S. Army Control, or Central, sorry. And if you notice their symbol, their logo. So anyway, I don't know how or why I even went down this path, but
well, because you're saying they started up 2 weeks ago posting again.
Oh yeah, with CERN and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And,
yeah, those connections. That's amazing. And Alice.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and remember the whole Q idea, the Q group started with Kennedy because he wanted to get rid of the CIA. And remember the aerial view of Kennedy's gravesite.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember that picture. Yep. Back.
And
yeah.
So I just, you know, it is what it is. History will tell. You know, time will.
Right. Yeah.
Time will tell, and
it will.
I just have a feeling a lot of us will be on the right side of history, and I've played this on another show, but I want to play it on this show too, since we're doing it. We're doing it. This was, let's see, May 31st, 1961. This was Kennedy was on a trip to England.
Okay.
So I'm going to play this real quick. It's only 33 seconds long, but I'm going to pause it at a spot and tell me what you see.
No way. Wait a minute.
That's a hood ornament.
That's like, why would that be a hood, or like what kind of car is that?
Right. I don't know of any. I personally don't. If you guys know, let us know in the chat if you do. Of any car manufacturers or
This is
custom
in,
manufacturers.
said in England. This is supposed.
This
to
was
be
at a visit to England on May 31st, 1961.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So take that for what you will.
Yeah. That's really.
I don't know what was that symbol.
Yeah, that was like something interesting.
It's like that.
The cross, that double cross.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with. I've seen that before.
Yeah, it looks very familiar. Like, is it the cross of Paul Peter or something, like a Catholic.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not
Maybe.
sure. But I just thought that was interesting, you know, since we're talking about it. And
Yeah.
let's see, one more thing here. Hope you guys are enjoying this unusually different show for us. And we've kind of went off script a little bit, which is good. We should be doing that sometimes.
Yep.
Let's see. Hold on. Is that the cat? Or is that you? What is that noise?
What are you hearing? She's banging her tail against the computer.
Oh.
Yeah, it's probably near the speaker that she's doing
I
that.
hear.
Yeah, that's her tail. Sorry, you all could try to staple her tail down. Would that be nice? No.
Yeah. I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to show a picture.
Okay.
I'm going to show a picture. If you know who he is, you know who he is, or like what he's called anyway. But he ends up in a lot of places probably where most people shouldn't be. So I'm just going to show the picture. And
oh, right.
You've seen him before, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's affectionately called Vincent Fusca. So Mr. Fusca makes an appearance in a lot of places, especially at a lot of rallies and around the White House a lot. And
oh, yeah. All right.
This picture is what kind of made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. These two pictures here, not so much these two.
Right. But the
nose, especially the smile.
Yeah, that was eerie to me.
Those two pictures, just for whatever reason, you could take this for what you will. These could be just totally random people, blah, blah, blah. But these two pictures, just for whatever reason, always stick in the back of my head for, I don't know why, they just do. And again, take it for what you will. There is, let's see. One moment, please. I can still hear that. Like,
yeah, it's like she calms down and then she's like back to the tail. She's actually dusting off my keyboard, so maybe she wants to do that.
That is so funny.
Yes, Karen. Josephine said hi. Hopefully she won't do anything with the keyboard, like step on. Sometimes she does that. She'll step on a key and you just see the Z's start to fill in. Why do they want to do that? They always want to sit on the computer. What is it?
Yeah, and it's not like just on the desk. They got to be on the keyboard or whatever it is.
Or she sits right on like something, the book that I'm writing on, my notebook, she sits right on the page, the empty page that I was about to start writing notes on. And I have to look at her. Today I moved the book around. She stayed on it. She was sitting.
Have you ever seen this? I don't know the validity of it, but I came across this last year, and I'm just going to ask you if you've seen it.
Yeah, I have. I'll tell you where I saw it. Okay. Girl Code and I did a breakdown of it was a Netflix special called 11 whatever 63. What was the date he was
Yes, I don't remember exactly, but
so it was the date like written out
Mhm.
1963, and it was based on a book written by what's his name, the weird horror writer that got injured. What's his name? You know what I'm
weird
talking
horror writer.
He wrote
Not
Cujo.
Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King. Stephen King, and you can look this up if you want to right now, and I'll show you where that newspaper clipping, or maybe if you want me to find it, I could look for it real quick. I'll show you. Just 1 minute, because that's where I notice it from. This movie from Netflix was so interesting. And I would suggest, since you're revisiting these things, John, and anybody in the chat, you may want to check this out because it's, wait a minute. I just have to look through some older, and if, oh, here it is. Okay, 1 minute.
Are you going to share it?
No, you know what? I'm wrong. This was the other thing we did. I was looking for these other projects I did with Girl Code, but you know what? Let me, or you can look it up probably faster. John,
Right.
if you look up Netflix 11 something 63 Stephen King. This
11/22/63.
Yeah, that's it. 11/22/63. This series was about time travel. It's very fascinating.
With Franco.
Yeah, DeFranco. He did a good job. I know he's a creepy guy, but I had to reserve how I felt about him, the stuff I learned about him, so I could watch this movie. And I had to kind of like, okay, I don't
It
know.
says it's like a series or something.
Yeah, it was a series, and Girl Code and I, we binge watched it. So in this series, without giving you guys, I don't want to give you the whole thing, but it involves time travel, but that newspaper is a part of it, is a part of that whole.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably from that series then?
I don't want to give it away because I could tell you why it's connected, but you may want to watch the series if you have Netflix. I got Netflix just to watch the series, and I canceled it because I didn't want to have Netflix. But so I binge watched it in probably 2 days or something because it had 8-part series.
Uh-huh.
Very you will be glued to this story. It's quite a story. But just imagine, it was written by Stephen King, which I was like, is that kind of his genre? Does he do conspiracy or is he more horror?
Typically, I mean, that's kind of where he was been in the past, and he was horror or suspense or drama, whatever. Usually there's violence involved in a lot of his books, a lot of killing and a lot of mental anguish, suspenseful type things.
Right.
So, who knows? I mean, he maybe decided, hey, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recommend it though, especially with, like I said, you're going back, it looks like it's a circle back time for this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you,
especially for the people that are just waking up, it's like when I first started.
Because normies are going to find this fascinating. It's always going to be like whenever people find this, and that assassination just continues to be something that's not solved. I don't care. Even this series, I didn't walk away feeling good about this issue. I mean, I don't know. It's just, but
so, is it still on Netflix?
It should still be on. I think it will probably be saved as, you know, something that's there, but it is. She said, Lady Knievel said, you play with your hair like a kid. I know, right? Lady Knievel, I get like, it's my, it's, you know what? I have these little ticks. I guess you could call them ticks. Like, you know, when you
a lot of people do that though. If you have long hair, I do it with my goatee lot. I sit there and I do this
guys do
constantly.
that. And this curl, right? These curls, it's almost like a little stress reliever. When I'm working on stuff, I just do that. I have to, but it could be, you know, biting your nails. It's the same thing. Biting your nails. Some people do that. I do this. She said, with my hair like a kid. And then the cat between. Lots of distractions, Lady Knievel. I'm going to get focused, okay? I'm going to stop playing with my hair. I'll put it up, Lady Knievel. Then I don't have the, look, I'll put my curls up. Now I don't have the, I'm going to cut it out, okay, Lady Knievel? Get a
Yeah,
handle.
Becky, I've zoomed in on that picture and I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about. There is like a civilian that's in that picture. Let's see. Hold on a second here.
Oh, that picture. Yeah.
Hold on. One moment. Yeah, see, this one I don't know because it looks like it's all military. I think there's actually over time there's been a couple of these done, you know, like at different points in time. So
Thank
anyway.
you, Lady. Thank you, Lady Knievel. I'm a spaz, right. Lady Knievel. You know what? This
we're all spazzes.
It makes me like. Do you guys remember Molly? What was the Molly from
Molly Shannon?
Molly Shannon.
Yeah, she'd do this. She'd stick her hands under her armpits and like she go.
I feel like that sometimes, and I just start because it's exciting sometimes. All this information because I want to just. I have to like taper myself, like reel myself in because this stuff is exciting. I don't know. And I got
well, at least you're not as bad as that twerking politician.
Oh no!
Not to plant that image in your head, but
yeah, please don't. I want to forget about that, and I didn't even watch the video. I've
got a ton of them if you want to see it.
No, I don't.
They're all memes.
And I heard people describe it, and I feel like I watched it, and I'm just as traumatized, and I don't.
You sure you don't want to watch it?
I'm so sure. I feel like I've watched it, though.
Are you really sure?
I can't. Then I'll be taking my hair down again, playing with my curl. No, that was terrible.
Are you sure?
I'm so sure. Positive.
All right, jeez. You're no fun.
Positive about that. I'm really positive.
But somebody sent me a video like they found the guy that blew out the first guide stone. So that's secret solved.
Wait a minute. I heard that there were so many memes for it, and I missed them. I know you, bro.
Oh my god, you have no idea.
Idea. No, I heard they did the what's her name? Miley Cyrus swinging on the wrecking ball. That was great.
Well, they had Pepe streaking back. You know how they showed the video of supposedly the perpetrator running really fast. Like this person had to have been like an alien or something. They were like inhumanly fast running towards it and running away from it.
Are you
so
serious?
somebody superimposed a Pepe streaking back over to it and then back away.
That's funny.
So yeah, there was quite a few. I'm not gonna do
Get away. What's Julie saying? Julie saying zip it. What? Should we say a code? We should code it, Julie. Should we code our? You know how you say on YouTube? You know, everybody is saying unalived. You. So
Oh yeah, whatever.
Unalived.
Like, yeah, unalived.
I know. It's like I've been trying to code, but sometimes I just can't. Just say it.
I don't even know what that symbol means. Does that means like zip your mouth or zip it? Like what?
Zip it. Zip it.
I do what I want.
I love it.
So I came across this too. You know how I am about pyramids and stuff like that.
Oh wow! Look at that. Whoa.
Sapushan Mountain. Sapu Sacred Mountain is located in Puzanangu, Yangzhou. Jeez. However you pronounce that. Township, Ruxian County. It has been standing here for centuries. It is one of the sacred mountains of Bon religion in Tibetan Buddhism. The Sap Sacred Lake is formed by the melting of ice and snow on the mountain. So like this lake apparently is formed by the stuff that's melting off of this. So I just thought, where's my other here? Oh, hold on.
Wow, what a ride. No guardrails. Oh
Yeah.
my.
Yeah, some of these countries, those people got to be crazy to drive,
That's amazing.
especially when they're driving like some kind of chicken truck or something, and they got
Right.
another truck coming down the other way, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah. I've seen they're doing two. Whoa. Oh my. That's
Now, and speaking of pyramids, since we're staying on that subject now, the Temple of Borobudur. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not. Or sometimes Borobudur. I guess other countries do the same thing as we do and just make it whatever word they want, and or shorten it.
I love this.
It's a Mahayana Buddhist temple located close to Muntalan. Jeez,
You're doing good with these words. These are hard words.
tongue twisters.
They are.
On the island of Java in Indonesia. Not only is the Borobudur the largest pyramid-shaped Buddhist monument in the world, but it is also one of the most intricately designed structures on our realm. No one knows who built it, of course, or what its original purpose was. It looks like bells vibrating, healing maybe. So I'm going to show a couple of these, because if this is the actual structure here.
Yeah, I love this.
hold on.
This is so beautiful. These oh gosh. Yeah.
And since we've talked about sound and vibration and healing and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and there seemed to be like an aversion to the 1%ers with bells, like in World War II, and they took out and removed all these bells from churches and other places, and so I'm wondering if these bell shapes hold some kind of a, other than maybe a spiritual meaning, hold another place, or hold another function, because that's a pretty intricate looking, design. To have it all over the place in this temple,
Amazing. It's so
to be a random thing.
Yeah. It's definitely not random. And yeah, like imagine a certain kind of wind even going through those, like
That's what I was gonna get at. I was gonna use the word ether and try to make a joke. But
ether, I love that better.
the ether blowing through the bells,
Yeah. This reminds me of a cake. I don't know why, a layered cake. Maybe because I just love cake. It would be German chocolate.
Oh, Jen's getting hungry again.
Wouldn't it be German chocolate though, if it were?
I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's interesting because there's like 1, 2, 3 rings of them and then a big one in the middle.
Wow.
Of course, with a metal rod in it.
Yeah. Look at that.
But I found it interesting that they quote unquote don't know who built it. No one knows who built it or what its original purpose was. So was this a victim of the whole time backflip, history erase, reset, whatever? But I mean, it is amazingly intricate. I cannot believe how like intricate this place is. Like the designs and I mean, all the stonework is just crazy, crazy good.
Yeah, in a good, amazing way. It is so crazy. But you know, listening to the theories, like the information that Jason researched about the vapor canopy time period where people were big. They were giants, but they didn't know they were giants because they lived under a vapor canopy. Everything grew large. So now I'm connecting like the pieces of like that weren't so clear for me when I heard him describe the vapor canopy time period. And when he said that, you know, if they were building these kind of things under a vapor canopy, that's a whole different like concept now to me. They didn't build these things in our current biosphere, like the way that our atmosphere is, oxygen, the height we are. They were building these things when they were living in like an amazing, you know what?
Everything in that concept, the megafauna is like what they call the dinosaurs and that kind of stuff. That even the trees, the plants were massive. Everything was bigger because it could be sustained because of denser, richer atmosphere, denser, richer, like you said, vapor canopy. That's why these trees and these animals grew to massive proportions. And if, you know, humanoids were around then, which of course we could suspect that because, you know, who knows what they've hidden from us, they would be massive as well. They would be large giants. You know, we talked. Wouldn't that be cool if like, these were actual bells that giants could just pick up and ring? Like, I'm hungry.
Imagine that. Yes, dinner time. Meatballs are finished. Come on. But you know, now that he has shared, like I've found this information to now integrate it and see where it fits. I'm amazed at that concept that he even mentioned, like back in the island, Martinique, they had that volcano that erupted. And it was like in the 80s or I believe 70s or something, not long ago. But the geologists and the people that went over to check it out, they grew like, I think he said 2 inches. Everybody grew 2 inches that went to go to St. Martin to check out. It was something about the volcano caused like a vapor canopy just in that area. And they literally grew. Do you remember him saying that? It was amazing.
Yeah, I remember him talking about that briefly, but he talked about a lot of things that my brain was trying to remember.
I realized that it was so like much information, and I was just trying to slowly like, because it was blowing my mind about the vapor canopy. But now I'm even gonna have to circle back to the Nephilim and the giants, because if everybody was responsive, but they didn't realize they were responsive.
They wouldn't write their history like they were giants because everybody was like that.
Everybody was a giant. So then when the times changed and the vapor canopy, well, as he said, when the vapor canopy collapsed and then the flood, when you think about the firmament, when it says the waters above, now it makes sense. So the firmament crashes, the vapor canopy, everything changes. So then the people are going to be smaller, like gradually get smaller. They're not going to live as long because under a vapor canopy, these people are living hundreds, like how long? Like really long. Long time. So now it makes sense. Even when you think about a building project, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems
I know
like
exactly what you're saying.
Everything I have to readjust the understanding of whatever, just to look at it again. And just from that filter, it's fascinating.
I mean, think about it. Like we like modern, what we call modern man,
Mhm.
we don't write about ourselves as being giants or as being big in stature or whatever, unless we're comparing ourselves to midgets or or pets or things that are smaller than us. But we have not written our history in that point of view. Like, but who knows? In the future, we could be giants to somebody else, or whatever,
Mhm.
So looking back, having the megafauna and having a much richer environment for things to flourish in.
Mhm.
And if you had a civilized or, a culture that had reading and writing and that kind of stuff, they wouldn't be talking about like the dinosaurs or how big the trees were or how big, these animals were and that kind of stuff, because that would have been normal for them. Like it would have been,
Right. That's a good point.
like
Yeah. Why would
like
they?
Joe Blow down the road, he might be 12 feet tall, but he's only a couple inches taller than I am, kind of thing. And so
Right.
I don't think they would have written it from a perspective of, yeah, we're a race of giants because somebody said we were giants or whatever. So if everybody was like that, all the animals, all the people, all the plants, everything, that would have been the norm, like that would have been the baseline, whatever you want to call it. So
Mm-hmm.
who knows what they would have thought of as giants, like for them to call something a giant. It's just so,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think there's a lot of, obviously a lot of things that have been not only been hidden from us, but kept from us for whatever reasons. But the fact is, none of us were alive then to know what was going on 100% certainty. But there's a lot of things that thankfully people like him are picking up on. And these little nuggets. He's written how many books? Like he's written a ton of books.
Yeah, he's written, and he has like, he fills up books, and he did them so much like when he was incarcerated. So he has books that if he spent time just writing them, or uploading them, I think he's done most of the work. He just has to just upload stuff at this point. It would just fill a room, probably like a library himself.
Yeah, and that's all new information for me, and I know for you too, and for a lot of people, that's been there.
New.
It's out there, and it's like takes somebody to sit there, and unfortunately he had the time to do it, but thankfully he did do that. And and as he puts it, he's a what, a chronologer, I think is what the term he uses, a chronologer. So he and he only goes by what he can find, like not suspect or whatever. Like, so it's got to be in some text or somewhere verifiable. He does speculate a little bit on, to connect some dots, but I totally respect what he's done, because I mean, that's just to spend that amount of time to focus on that kind of research. I would love to get a hold of his books and stuff and just take the time and read them from his point of view. Because he's very detailed, and that's what I love. He's very detailed.
Yes, very, and he gives the, bibliography. He gives all of his sources. He cites everything. So those books that he's read, a lot of them are so rare. They're out of print. You can get some of them. He is connected to a bookseller that used to travel around with Zechariah Sitchin. He was his so this guy,
interesting.
Yeah, he has a bookstore, I think in San Diego, and he gets rare books, and that's where Jason has written under that publisher, the same guy. So but this guy, I think he was like the videographer, or maybe he was his biographer or something like that. But yeah, after they finished doing all their stuff, he settled in and he has a bookstore.
I'm going to pull something up here real quick. Where is...
Appreciate that.
Karen, thanks for the segue. So
Crazy.
if you haven't been on Jennifer's channel, the video we're referencing is right here. Jason, is it Brashears?
Yes, Brashears. Yeah.
She does a 2-hour show with him. He was also on I can't remember the name of the guy. He has a big following, but I can't remember his name, and that's where I first saw him.
Oh yeah, was it autodidactic out of Australia? Was that
maybe?
But
it was like it was a lone guy. He was doing the interview, and that's where I first heard of him. And I can't.
Okay.
I wish I could remember the name. Maybe I have it under my watch, but the guy is super, if nothing else, super interesting. Just a really interesting fellow.
Very, very. Mm-hmm.
Let's see my watch later. See if sometimes I'll save videos in my watch later.
Oh, the watch. The watch later. Yeah, but
Sometimes.
ever since I heard this vapor canopy, him mention that, it has really fascinated me, and I want to understand it, like I say, and integrate it into all of this. Like, we've had a flood of new information when we went down these newer paths. And I like that we've taken these trips together. Like, it's been certain waves of people, and we came on to the mud flood stuff all at the same time. And now we're graduating Mud Flood 101, I feel like, and we're going on to some other things.
Archaics.
Yes, Archaics. Yes, that's the name of his.
That's the name of the channel. It's ARCHAIX. That's where I first kind of came across that.
Okay, right. That's the name of his, and his website, archaics.com, if you want to.
Yes.
He has one of those websites like you just showed where you could spend time just on the website. He's filled it with so much. Mm-hmm.
Well, I forgot he does have a website. Do you remember what it's called?
Really good. Yeah, just put the archaics.com, and it's filled with
I mean Jason's sites. Is it Jason's site, Archaics?
Yeah, archaics.com. Mm-hmm. And that'll take you, and you'll see he's an artist because he's drawn those charts, and they're and it's amazing, the charts.
I mean, literally, I don't know. Yeah, these charts are incredible. Like, I don't know. Even if I had the time to do what he did, I don't know if I would have been able to, that's
amazing, right? He did it with pencil. Like, he initially wrote it out, and then just like once he was able to have stuff like printed, but he drew all
these are all like PDFs and books and stuff. I mean, this is all like,
it's amazing.
The dude, and he's very humble as far I can tell that his experience has humbled him. Mm-hmm. Not only the journey for the discovery of the stuff that he does or talks about, but his time at camp, so to speak, and has made him humble. Mm-hmm. But check him out. He's very interesting. That's all I got to say. He'll take you down a whole new path.
Oh boy!
If you think Jennifer's twirling her hair, it's like
right. Oh, he's twirling my hair. But I think the initial shock of the information, I've gotten past it because it was revolutionary information. It's like bam, and he realizes that his information is going to activate your cognitive dissonance and. I know for me, I struggle with certain things that I have to fight past it. And my cognitive dissonance is really, but I had to fight a little bit of it. And he really walks you through it. Like, even when he's teaching, he'll say, I know that it's hard, and some people really they do the and they attack it. Right. It's like, gosh, don't you find that we're kind of getting past that? Like, a lot of us, we're not in that space of who wants to debate anybody anymore? Like, have you noticed that? It's really back. It's like, whatever. You just believe Biden is the president. I'm happy with it because he makes me laugh now. When I look at JoJo Magoo, I'm just laugh. I'm not triggered anymore. Have you noticed that, John? I'm like, he's funny.
I know. I just recently had this conversation with family members recently. Like Julie and I were talking about it, and it's just I'm the same way. I'm like to the point now where it's like I'm not trying to wake people up anymore, and I'm not trying to have debates about anything.
Yeah.
You just believe what you want to believe. I'll believe what I want to believe, and we'll just go down with our lives. And
that's how I feel.
We'll see what history has to say about it, and then
we'll see how it works out. We'll just see. Just wait and let's see how it works out. That's how I feel. If I have to debate somebody that life in the womb is human life, I am done with those kind of debates. If I don't even come across people that don't know this. That's how I feel. That's how this divide has pushed those people to another realm. But if somebody were to get in my face and tell me that I'm wrong for wanting to protect life in the womb, I would just walk away and be like, okay, you're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go swirl around in blood on the Capitol steps, whatever.
Yeah. You want to have abortions, go do it. Just the only thing is you just won't get tax money from us to do it. That's all we're saying. You go ahead and do all that stuff you want to do. Just you pay for it.
Speaking of giants, I ran across this picture and I can't seem to find a history of it. And everything I read is like nobody knows anything, or like when it was whatever. I don't know if you've ever seen this picture, but it's got these. At first I thought, they're just naked old people or naked ancient people or whatever. Then I saw down here they've got these. They must be like regular sized people at the base down here on these.
Wow.
And then it has it's got these weird like Vimana shaped things on top of above their heads. Like it's not on their heads. It's like they're standing underneath it, like at a beauty shop hair dryer or something.
It looks like the old hair dryers.
Then there's like looks like a camel with somebody riding it over here or whatever. But I, for the life of me, cannot figure out where this came from, or what it is. It's obviously somewhere out in the Middle East somewhere.
Yeah, it looks very much like, like the area we mentioned. It could be like Myanmar, right? It could be anywhere like that.
So I just, for whatever reason, I don't know. This image struck me.
Yeah, it looks like a device, almost like either beam me up Scotty. Is that maybe? Or like a stasis chamber?
Because I couldn't tell if what these, if this is something, because it looks like they're leaning against it, like it's some kind of a machine or something, or some kind of device, like you said, and some kind of representation. I don't know if that's energy or light or whatever around it there.
That's
fascinating. It's I don't know what to make of it. And
I'm fascinated by that.
So if any of you know what it is or have seen this before or know where it's from or whatever the story behind it is.
Jason would know if we had him here.
Yeah, right.
What is this? He would, because he talks about the Vimanas and he talks about the people in that region of the world, India, all throughout. And some of the things that he mentions about those areas is fascinating. So even with your research into the Vimanas, and then remember we were looking at the guys in the Aztecs, and they were riding those. Yep. Yeah, it's like all that it's high science. That's right. We're gonna transfer over to what kind? We'll do wax paper hats next.
Yeah, we need aluminum for our aluminum.
Yeah, we'll run out of conspiracy theories. We're starting to run out of them, so we'll just switch our hats.
Right. So I know. Do you have a show tonight, don't you, or something at 10 o'clock?
No. Tomorrow I have something at 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was tonight. So I'm like, I'm thinking of,
Tomorrow.
what kind of meme can I throw out real quick? You know, just kinda...
No. Yeah, tomorrow I have something at 10, a night class.
All right, gotcha. Shoo.
No, yeah.
I was thinking, oh my God, we're gonna run over, and
I'm good.
she's gonna. Anyway, so there was another subject I want to touch on that I came across a while ago, but I've never talked about, and it has to do with the whole concept of this, again, the pre-1900s kind of thing. And I never heard it put this way. It's a guy named Walter Russell. He had an interest in cosmology. He understood the physics of metaphysics. From his book, Correlation of the Two Universal Forces, Compression and Expansion. I'd never heard of compression and expansion as far as that theory goes, as far as creating energy and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
In this book, he talks about the universal force and how it's used within nature and how it could be used within architecture. So, and he goes into the whole idea of this, like inherently, like the universe or like our surroundings, our the ether or whatever is like compressing and expanding and compressing, like from the top of our realm, our atmosphere, whatever, is like compressing and expanding.
That's interesting.
And he uses the terms inhalation and exhalation as well. Like even like in our body functions, inhaling it and exhaling, so that compression and expansion. So this figure here kind of shows churches and temples extend into the sky to capture the universal force and channel it down to people who do not know how to access it by themselves. So it goes into this long, let me see if I have another image here. Here we go.
It's fascinating. Oh, okay.
So it just kind of shows like the idea of this compression and then expansion back up, compression and expansion, almost like an accordion, sort of like.
Yeah. Okay. Now that makes sense what you're showing, because if we think about all those spires that are everywhere, and even the airship, like, had the spire on the front. And if that's how it's receiving the energy, like an expansion of your lungs, that's what, like when you said that, I'm thinking of the lungs and how they work. And probably the pressures in our atmosphere might work just like your chest cavity, so your lungs can. I don't know. This is cool though, because it also has that spiral of.
Yes, and that's what I was going to get, like these sacred geometry kind of things, like with
exactly.
Because if you look at the previous picture, remember this little vortex thing, and we've talked about like mercury vortexes and other kinds of vortexes before, generating electricity or power kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it also talks about the cosmic pendulum, as it's called, and that's the inhalation, exhalation. And then here he's got magnetic flow with these arrows pointing to the center here. You can kind of see again this whole, let's see the law. Positive electricity is force generated against pressure resistance. Positive intensity increases with contraction due to pressure resistance in streams flowing in opposite directions. Positive electricity is the accumulating, absorbing, and other something force of contraction which seeks higher pressures. In my mind, for whatever reason, I immediately jump to, if you live in an area that has massive thunderstorms, like where the thunder heads are 40, 50,000 feet tall. I mean, massive. You think about the amount of pressure, the change in temperature as well, from the cold upper reaches of that 40,000 foot cloud to the hot, humid, balmy lower section of it, with hail being generated and that kind of stuff. And think about how powerful and how much of the electricity is generated with lightning and that kind of stuff with this same kind of the idea of this same kind of the movement of the the positive and negative and that kind of stuff up and down, vertically, creating lightning strikes and creating like after a thunderstorm, people always equate it to like the smell of ozone or whatever, like after a fresh rain or whatever. It like smells different, like it smells like if you had an ionic air cleaner in your house or something like that, like where it's taking all the particles out of the air, like the dirt and the pollutants and that kind of stuff. And
right.
So that's kind of what made me think of that when I saw this.
Yeah,
and
that's powerful. Like just from, this is fascinating.
And so I don't know if he drew this or if he used a computer or what he did, but it's like it's this kind of like circular or cyclical process. So like you got this whole bloop, gets compressed and then forced out the bottom, like, and then kind of keeps repeating, so to speak.
Right. That's what some people think, that the cosmology, they think it's shaped like that, more like a donut, right? A torus field or a donut.
Yes.
That's so cool. Like, I love all that stuff, and just the spiral of the, what do they call it? Fibonacci, like you said, the golden ratio. And then you look in nature, and nature just has it everywhere. Just petals on a flower, or those fiddle faddles. Aren't they called fiddle faddles? They grow
something like that.
Like fiddly bits.
I knew that was coming.
Who talks about that all the time? Is that Lady Knievel? Fiddly bits. Somebody talks about it. It all does that spiraling. And it seems like that's how things.
The corn, like that sea creature, the shell creature,
the Nautilus.
Yes, thank you.
I love the Nautilus. Yep.
The Nautilus.
Nautilus.
That's right.
I have a Nautilus. Do you want me to show it to you? A Nautilus? You have I have like.
Can you imagine somebody saying that?
Do you want to see the Nautilus? Nautilus. Everything about like Nautilus, when you think about like just everything reminds you, all the shells are all like, so if everything just does that spiraling, they say the heart even does that. Have you heard about that? Like I listened to a lecture and they talked about how the chambers it's not a pump like we've been taught in school. It's more like it rolls. It does like a spiral, and it rolls out, rolls back in to pump the blood.
I have heard that.
Oh.
I know I downloaded that PDF. I'm trying to, because there was a page in there I wanted to show, and I thought I had it. Thought I had her queued up. Let's see here. Yeah, of course it's. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Anyway, so again, the whole idea of free energy, the concept of being self-sustaining, being able to, it'd be one thing to be self-sustaining, but not know how to farm and stuff like that. It would just, so you'd have electricity and power and stuff, but you wouldn't, unless you had a microwave and other stuff. So if this was like in the old days, you'd still you would have to know how to do stuff. You'd still have to be somewhat intelligent or savvy enough to take care of yourself and your family.
Right. Or form collectives, because that's something that we'll have to think about too, is that, not everybody's going to get the growing of food. And when you think about how crops will sometimes not, they won't come up like you expect. If you grow things, it's not always a thing. But if people form collectives, they can have the things they need, because not everybody is going to grow food. Some people are going to make things that you need. They may make soap and products that you use every day. So, you know what I mean? So a community, a self-sustaining community is really what it's about, because the growing of food, again, is just not going to be everybody's thing. So that's what I see people doing as we go to the states and become more state focused and local, and learn about your status to the state. And once, it's no more dealing with Washington like we used to, but back to the states, then you can form your collectives with people, your farmers. Because really, when you think about even the people that talk about these, the good reset, the one that the meek shall inherit the earth kind of thing. So if we are to administrate stuff like that, it'll look like a collective, local collectives everywhere thriving, and trading with each other and
bartering, was a big deal up until the late 1800s or early 1900s. I mean, as soon as currency was introduced, as soon as there was banks, it was like, I hate to say this, but it seemed like people got lazy, mentally lazy, not necessarily physically lazy, but it changed the dynamic. I think people were actually probably a little more social and nicer to each other with the bartering system too, because you weren't putting a dollar value on something. You were like, this person, whatever they did was worth just as much as whatever this person does, like whether this person's a farmer or this person's a blacksmith or whatever, they all had equal value. Like their skills were equal. And
I think so.
So you could barter amongst each other, and you felt like you were getting what you needed, a good deal, and you were getting what you needed, and probably made a friend in the process too. And there's a lot to be said for that whole the whole community slash what is it? Not commune. What did you call it?
Like a collective. Because I've seen them work in, there are some communities that do that. Like when I'm in Cuba,
like farmers collectives, especially.
Yeah, farmers do that. Like they have their collectives, and like in Cuba, where if you're in downtown Old Havana, you walk by people's apartments, and you know what? They have like a window that they can do business out of. So they're in their apartment. Like it could be a guy who's making, the coffee pots that they use in Cuba.
Yeah.
He's actually in his apartment forging all that metal, making pots. And then you walk by and he has a little storefront just in his window. It's like a little window you could do exchange. And you walk down, there's somebody making shoes. There's somebody making this. Yeah, so the Cubans, that's an interesting probably case study too, how they were able to survive and thrive under such oppression of communism, and it didn't break them. They are very resilient for people who haven't visited them. So when you think about like a situation so grave and communistic and everything, they still found a way to form collectives and have skills that they could work outside of the government. Like they had their parallel economies,
Right. Yes.
And that's where we will outthink them and outwork them, because we will work in a way that makes sense to sustain us. Nobody has to have like, over like abundance and gorging on things. You just live a more simple life and slow down and lighten up, and so
that's kind of what Jeremy Irons was talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he sure was. He mentioned that. And I think people are craving that because it's sort of the unknown, because if you think about coming out of this system, and if we all went to a simple system, some people are bored easily. and they need all this. They think they need all this constant stimulation, but that's not healthy. And like he said, the work, it's not the right kind of work that we're doing. But when you do work that means something, you know how it is. You get in a zone, you don't even know how much time you spent doing. And that's what people, I believe, will start finding those occupations or things that they can get lost in and not even realize how much time they spent.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I love the analogy used with the potato farmer. I mean, it's like, that's your job. That's in order for your community or whatever to survive, they need potatoes. You know, they need the cabbages, they need the beef guy, the sheep guy, the whatever, the milk and the cheese and but the idea that you work, you do what you're good at, so you're planting your potatoes, and like you said, all winter long they're drinking, they're having fun, they're laughing, they're they're relaxed. And then they harvest the potatoes whenever their time to harvest them, and they start the process again. But it's not like you're getting beat down every day and you're having to, what do I got to do to get through today kind of thing, and this was probably before the big, I'm sure they had the tax man back then or somebody similar, but I'm sure it was based on a different system, or possibly based on like your contribution to the community or whatever. I don't know, but
all right, like a tithe maybe that you tithe.
Sort of
I can see that, a tithe to the warehouse, like the storehouse rather. So you're tithing to build up a storehouse for your community.
Yeah, like you got the wheat people that are putting the grain in there, and you've got the potato people,
the
carrots, the onions, the whatever, and so like 18. Speaking, since we're talking about like kind of that again, pre 1900s, pre 20th century, I came across this and I almost peed my pants. I laughed so hard because I'd never heard of this before, and because the whole premise of it was like, well, it makes sense, but I never thought of it. So that's two things I never thought of this week. So you had. In 1894, the Times predicted that in 50 years, every street will be buried under 9 feet of manure. The situation came to be known as the Great Manure Crisis of 1894. I had never even thought of it. This picture, look at how high, it's like snow, like they tried to plow the snow.
Oh, that's weird. And this is in New York?
Yeah. It says Morton Street, corner of Bedford, looking towards Bleecker Street, March 17th, 1893.
Karen,
they got this giant wagon stuck in the manure right here. And they used to have these guys here. I'll read it. These guys, sweepers. During the summer, manure dried in the streets and created dust in the winter. The streets turned swampy. Manure attracted millions of flies that carried dozens of diseases, causing a spike in typhoid deaths and infant mortality. Vacant lots were filled up to 65 feet of manure. Streets were piled so high with manure that paths had to be dug so women in long dresses could cross. This led to crossing sweepers on every corner who accepted tips from pedestrians. And you can kind of see them here. This depiction of them,
what? That is so wild that you found that, because going back to Jason, sorry, you guys, I have to keep because he touched on how those red, what did he say? Like the mud, it was raining mud. So yes, I believe they're trying to cover something up by calling it manure, because manure, it could not be manure in the streets of New York like that. Even back then, I know that they had, lots of, like, what animal does manure besides like horses and cows, right?
Yeah, unless they were just so lazy and they didn't clean the streets. They just let them crap all day long and not do anything,
I don't believe that, because these narratives are not making sense, because look, if you go back up and you look at the architecture of those brownstones,
Yeah.
Does that look like the type of people who would let their street look that way? That lets me know that when Jason said that it was literal like red clay kind of mud that was it was raining down.
Yeah, because he had
something.
talked about ship's captains and stuff like that having
Right.
to come into port or do whatever because it would cover their ships and their sails and that kind of stuff. And
it didn't happen in all places, so it was just very spotty when these things
and they
happen.
blamed it like on the Sahara Desert or something like that, or
Right, crazy. And now
whatever
look
it
at
was.
what they're doing. They're trying to blame it on menorah. That right there just sounds too far-fetched to call it menorah.
But that's the thing that caught my eye was this. I love the whole, the way they label things. Like this
Right,
is
the
the
great-
great manure crisis of 1984. It
is
reminds
so
me of like current events because we have some kind of great
have
crisis
one
happening
now.
all the time.
We have a
And
menorah crisis.
the great, yes, the great
second
manure
great-
crisis.
The second great manure crisis.
That is, I mean, when I saw that, I was just like,
How bizarre.
what?
No way. I don't buy that
You
it's
know,
manure. I don't buy it.
and look at how high it is. I mean, it's just,
Oh wow. Wow.
you see this
wow.
wagon, it's just literally like the wheels are covered in, like it's so deep on the side over here.
Oh,
And if you look at these people walking down the sidewalk, look how high it is over here on the street.
wow. No way is that manure. Are you kidding? They really think we're that stupid. Their narratives really don't make sense anymore.
Here's the sweeper dude collecting a few coins, brush.
Do you see that
sweeping.
broom? That wouldn't do anything to sweep the street. That's no broom.
And
Oh my
speaking
God.
of, since we're on the subject of New York, this will be the last thing we'll cover, and then I'll do a couple memes, and then we'll go from there. But I saw this, the secret pneumatic subway in Manhattan. I love that. It reminded me of the whole steampunk thing. The secret pneumatic subway in Manhattan. And I'll show these pictures, but
Wow.
here's what those 1867 pneumatic train cars looked like. Unfortunately, not too many photographs made it through time. Also, these old tunnels have already existed across every continent, because we've shown, even on this show, we've shown a lot of those interesting looking tunnels across the world that were under the architecture, like a new railway was built on top of an old railway kind of thing.
Right.
Let's see. Except they did not use trains. They used pneumatic train cars, which were powered by compressed air.
Wow.
These tunnels have been taken over, polished, and passed as new. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see here if I got, here we go. I just thought that these pictures were interesting. Like, here's an actual photograph.
Very
And-
interesting. Wow.
And I'm going to blow this up because this
Yeah. Let's see
this
that.
statue here, see the statue like this holding this light kind of thing?
Oh, that's amazing.
This kind of imagery, I keep seeing this, like this
Really?
whole, this like
That's-
person kind of holding up this light.
I
in
like
what context, but
Yeah, I'd love to see that closer. Pneumatic, that is something that is it sounds so clean and just fast, just like when you're doing your
Yeah.
banking and you send
like
the
something that we should have had back in the day, and God only knows what we should have now.
yeah,
nope.
they use
We're gonna have some. We're gonna accidentally bury, or no, they always make it sound like they purposely buried it. Like, oh yeah, no, they buried it, they covered it up. Blah blah blah.
yeah.
But some of these, like if you look at these drawings and stuff, I mean,
Wow.
like these
That's
tunnels, these
so-
tubes that they've got here.
Wow. Wow.
See, that's Liverpool Station,
Oh my.
Broad Station, London Bridge. So this was in London here, and this picture, I should say.
And
But
they
got
called it the
looks like a
tube.
passenger car here. This.
Amazing. Amazing.
So I thought that was just kind of interesting. I don't know. I just ran
Very
across it.
interesting.
And I knew you would like the whole idea of the pneumatic
Yeah.
subway.
I do, because in the hospitals we use pneumatic tubes to send things throughout hospitals. Usually, like older hospitals, especially, we send tubes. Like we send things through, like
the banks
pharmacy.
do, like
the banks, yeah, and you can get stuff from the pharmacy. If it's not narcotics, you can't get them tubed up. But they tube up IV fluids and boom, and then you send off stuff. Zoom! It's like the bank. So pneumatic. And when you think of pneumatic, let's go back to what you said before about the way that the thing expand, inspiration, expiration.
Mhm.
Pneumatic is from the word pneumo, which is your lungs, and it's like breath. So when you think of that, it sounds powerful because it's like the breath, something
Mhm.
about that. It just seems more organic to travel this way and do these things. And why
And
do you need
cleaner,
oil? Why do you need oil when you have water and air and ether, electricity,
It's ether. I
steam,
love it.
vapor? Like all these things are so clean sounding. And they're abundant. They are never depleted.
Except for the manure, apparently. And well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because technically that's never ending too.
Yeah, well, if you have animals, you will always have manure as well, I guess.
Especially if you lived in New York in 1894 during the Great Manure Crisis. Everybody was literally full of shit. Everybody's walking and up to their eyeballs, and
that's funny. And you know what it sounds like? Whatever they were doing there in New York, and Karen, if you do look this up, you notice John mentioned that there were some diseases, typhoid. So it sounds like they were bio attacking people in that region. So it rings a lot of bells. The narrative.
There's just so much. I mean, anyway.
Where do the pneumatic tubes get energy? That's a good question, because when you first send it off, it's like pew. If you ever got on a roller coaster that kind of shoots you off,
it's vacuum. So you've got one end that's closed off, and so you're basically sucking the air out of it, and you're kind of pulling it towards whatever destination you're trying to get it to.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Good.
So I don't know what's creating the vacuum. I don't know if they have like these giant pumps or whatever that are. I wouldn't even know.
That's a good question, though.
But imagine, more and more people would probably adopt transportation like that. Like they probably would be less likely to drive in cars if they were in big cities, and I mean, in some big cities, you have no choice. I mean, you really can't drive a car. There's just no point.
It's not.
I have a friend that lives in Staten Island, and he works in Manhattan.
Oh.
He doesn't drive his car because he said it would literally take him 6 hours to get to work, and so he has to take like 2 or 3 trains. Takes him like an hour and a half or 2 hours to get to work.
Okay.
On the trains.
Amazing. He cut forward. Yeah. No, you do have to weigh that out. And most people in New York, they don't want that headache of a car. I had a friend that had a car in Harlem, and she had to do so many things just to keep this car. She had to wake up early on her days off, to go move the car from one side of the street. She was always playing that game of moving the car. And it's just like, that's an everyday thing.
Yeah. That's how it was when I lived for a few years in Minneapolis. There was like this weird, it's like they purposely did it to get people's cars towed and stuff like that, and charge you these ridiculous fines.
Right.
It was a weird. It wasn't posted anywhere, but
Mhm.
it's like if you lived there, you knew you had to be off the street, because in a lot of these neighborhoods, there's small driveways or no garages and that kind of stuff. So you had to, like, if you had more than one person that had a car, you were screwed, kind of thing. You had to go find somebody, neighbor, to park at. So you'd park on the avenue, in between like 2 and 3. Like that was the only time, or some kind of weird, just like short period of time. If your car was out at between 2 and 3, it would be gone. By the morning, it would be gone.
Wow.
And you'd have to go through this whole Chevy Chase vacation thing to try not only find out where they towed your car, but who to pay the fine to and all this other crap. I remember spending literally an entire day getting my truck back when I was living there.
That's
And
so horrible.
everybody was laughing at me like, oh, we should have told you, I was like, or we forgot, or like,
That's terrible to go through that. And it's illegal. When you do these studies like what you brought up earlier, when you realize how illegal this system is, they are not that's not lawful to do to people. Most cities are set up that way because Philadelphia is set up like that's one of the worst cities. They made a show about the parking authority in Philadelphia because they harass people. And it's a hassle. Like, you don't even want to support downtown businesses because of the parking situation. There's a lot of tricky, like what you're saying is like, you have to read and look because you can miss the signs, and then you have to sit there and figure it out. Wait a minute, Tuesday through Thursday, and you're like, wait a minute, what's today? You have to do all this stuff to figure out, like, you're trying to go to a restaurant, you're trying to support the city, but then they make it so hard. You're like, I'm not coming down, and the restaurants suffer.
And you know what their excuse was, or their claim why they never took that law off the books, is because supposedly they clean the streets between that time.
Oh, right. They do that.
I have never, ever seen a street cleaner ever
between those hours.
Yeah. Any hours.
Oh, really? They don't even come at all?
Literally never.
They don't. Wow. Always. You got to give them something to think about in the grocery store.
I know you probably do that at the grocery store.
Oh, I have fun because I have certain moments where it really is like a divine appointment where you meet somebody and you say something and you realize, wow, I don't know why I said that, but it was so needed. Like that person needed it. And I'm finding that a lot. It's just
That is literally the face I make when people say, "Yep, I just can't wait till things go back to normal."
normal. Wow. We never knew what normal was. Isn't that ironic?
Let's see here. A couple more quick ones, hopefully.
They just have to take back out of their sentence to make it correct. I can't wait till things get normal.
But that's probably half the kids back in the 70s and the early 80s.
I'm sure that's
Pops leaves a beer out or something, it's like people didn't freak out. Probably gave them a smoke too, It's like,
yeah, I saw pictures of the kids, the newsies from the 1800s. They were out there smoking on the, they were like little grown. They had them working in the factory, so if they want to smoke, I guess they should if they're working. They're going to be the ones out there for the summer of love 2022.
Well, I will make a comment about that because you notice Antifa's been a little quiet this year.
Oh, are they quiet?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Compared to like some of the stuff that's happened, it's almost like they've been neutered a little bit.
Oh,
and,
good. Because I've been wondering about that.
And for those of you that want to Yes, Julie. In the 70s, we were freaking tough. You were probably like 2 years old or 5 years old. How old are you again?
We were
Oh,
tough in the 70s.
Julie just turned 50, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday. Congratulations. That's a good birthday.
We're having a little schwindig, a little get together at a little
Nice.
local
Happy
Italian
birthday,
place.
Julie. That's awesome. You look great.
All right. I'm going to show this for people that want to show their normie friends that don't think that there's conspiracies, that things aren't controlled behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. Since we're mentioning Antifa, I'm going to use this specifically as an example because it's still accurate. Go up into your little address bar up here and type in www.antifa.com. And you see me typing it, right? I'm not like making some kind of weird side gestures, whatever.
No.
I just typed in antifa.com. Hit the old enter key.
No. That is crazy. Yes.
It still goes to the White House .gov page.
They haven't fixed it yet. So it was always, this is like one of those, this is such a red pill, but how many normies would do that? Like, that's the thing about like this kind of echo chamber, like, you know, that's there and we're amazed at it, but how many of the normies would even know anybody that would tell them to do that? Like, they're so insulated in not knowing this stuff.
And it's all over the place. It's literally right in front of your face on almost every major government website.
Wow.
Let's see here.
So, John, are you saying that they're not erupting the cities of Portland and Seattle right now over like Roe v. Wade and stuff?
It only happened in Portland. They set the federal building or the government building on fire again, the mayor's office or whatever building.
Oh, okay.
And it's still blockaded. It's still barricaded, but they were still managed to do it. But that's the only place it really happened.
Really? So I didn't realize that. I'm glad you said that. So it's been a pretty tame.
They've been handcuffed a little bit. And I'm not going to get speculated, go into it in this show.
Okay.
But I have my beliefs and my theories about that. And
right. Really good. I didn't realize that. Wow.
Been here a couple times too.
Yeah, I like that one.
Sorry for the language, folks, for anybody that might be a little bit.
That's another thing too. I don't think we are so triggered by language anymore, right? Are we past that too, please?
I'm not, but apparently some people are.
Some people are. I'm thinking they're going to have to get over that soon because I don't know. It's just.
And I'm going to end with this one because I'm sure my handler will appreciate this one as well.
Don't talk about my cousin Philly. Will be really tomorrow. Allentown. My FBI. My FBI agent. That's so funny. 5 hours later.
You sure you don't want to see the twerker?
No, I am so sure. I am so sure that I don't want to see.
Really? Sure? Like 100%.
When I miss
100%.
viral moments like that, I don't feel like I missed anything because the description is all I needed. And that was all I needed for that. It can't be easy to be her. It just can't. How does she live with herself? Oh my God.
Well,
you'll be in Allentown, Karen. What is that song by Billy Joel? Where it's something.
That's Allentown.
In Allentown. That's right. It's a lot of people in Allentown. I have family in Allentown. Well, Bethlehem. Close. Have fun. Travel mercies.
All right, one more. I swear to God, last one.
That's me. That's cute.
So there you go, folks. Another wonderful, crazy, wild, non-specific, off the rails creation.
Yes.
Willy Wonka something or other. I mean,
That's right. Everything happened, right? We had all kinds of stuff come up. So many pieces to the puzzle. Casey says you're not triggered anymore. I'm not either.
well, I have a meme too that has like a picture of Rob Lowe, and I've used it a few times, and it says, "I will literally trigger you to enlightenment."
That's good.
Like, I'm not going to argue with you, whatever. I'm just going to keep triggering you until you get it.
Triggering you to enlightenment.
I will literally trigger you to enlightenment.
Well, that's how I got enlightened, right? Or I got triggered. I had to go through the triggering process and have my cognitive dissonance go.
That's how it happens. Your brain, you have to be shocked into it.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have to be shocked into it. Like, it has to literally flip your world upside down. It literally, or else it's not going to do anything. It's not going to.
That's right.
But once that process happens and you start questioning things, then you start doing your own research. You start looking in different places, you know. And I'm going to say it for those that think that researching on Google is the best method to do research. It's not. Anything that's controlled by the Alphabet Company or anybody else that's part of this narrative is not your best source of legitimate information. You're going to get narrative information. You used to be able to go to DuckDuckGo, but I think Google or the Alphabet Company had put their hand into that somehow, and now they started banning conservative sites and all this other stuff. And so it doesn't give a huge amount of results, but if you use Brave search, Brave, you can find some stuff on there. But lately I've been finding a lot of the same things, sort of like, it's almost like, you almost have to read the tea leaves now. You have to just kind of go through a bunch of different things and see if there's like a common thread. And that Library of Congress link I gave you guys a few shows ago.
Oh yeah.
That has all the old newspaper archives from as far back as newspapers have been printed. That is one of the best tools for anything like we're talking about now, pre-19th or pre-20th century, like pre-1900s. It literally, you can search by keyword, you can search by date, and you can come up with some amazing finds in there. And that's usually how some of my research starts, is I find something on there, then I try to find it in the real world, so to speak, and see how it's evolved since the 1800s or the 1900s or whatever, or if it grew legs, if it had whatever. But if you don't follow Jennifer, this is her channel, Invisible Remedial College, Unraveling Narratives and Analyzing Stories. She's literally like a machine. She's just like cranking, and she's got good thumbnails. She's got cool thumbnails. I got to say that.
Thank you. I have fun with them. Somebody mentioned them, and I said, well, it's kind of if you let your auntie, she switched over to this type of arts and crafts. That's what it is. It's like an arts and crafts thing for me.
And some of them will be narrated videos. Some of them will not be. They'll just have music and images and that kind of stuff. Like your Table Concrete Wilderness one. I like that one.
You like, thanks. Yeah, I was doing
Croc Dystopia was good.
That was so much fun to do. I don't know why I got the idea. Sometimes I just get an idea and run with it. I had fun just going through, because I didn't know they had fried chicken crocs. I'm sorry. I didn't.
And I didn't until I saw that either. So Julie says, love your thumbnails.
Thank you, Julie. It's like, when people did did you get involved with, what was it called? Scrapbooking? It's my form of scrapbooking, Julie.
Jeez.
I don't have to collect a lot of things. Isn't that cool? It's like all my crafts are just in one little app.
But you have to follow Jennifer's channel. That's all I gotta say. It's just
Thank
just
you.
if you like what we talk about here, she has a lot. She goes a lot of different tangents and pretty much whatever's on her mind. And unlike this show, she makes them manageable. Most of them manageable time.
Not really. Did you see last Saturday? I was really hopped up.
Well, that's occasionally she'll have a 2 hour, whatever, 2.5 hour show. But a lot of these individual videos are like half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever.
Yeah. It's like varies, so you could get a little bit of cray long live streams that go like chaotic, but it's sort of a method to the madness if you kind of stick with me.
Karen's like, Jen is my intellectual nimble mentor, meep beep.
Thank you, Karen. Look at Casey says scrapbooking drove you nuts. Did you buy all of the supplies, Casey? Were you really into scrapbooking? I know people that were really into it, like so much.
Well, Karen, I'm the same way. I guarantee with the amount of notebooks she has, she's got to have like the manure crisis of 1894, but all scrapbooks or notebooks in the garage or somewhere.
John, I'll look through one. John, I found the manure crisis. I wrote about it. I do have lots of these. Yeah, this has become, I guess I relate to Jason in a way. Like, no way could I even be close to his research. But look at this already. Like, I keep buying these books, and I go through them. And I have tons like piles since 2020, when I went to New York to the pandemic. I just started, I'm just writing the experience. So literally I could talk about, I could write a couple of books, I think. So it's just finding the, right?
The thoughts of Jen Eason by Jen Eason. And it's all written in the third person about yourself.
Right, coffee table book or something.
There you go. Yeah, that was Kramer, like in Seinfeld, like the coffee table book about coffee tables.
Yes, I remember. That was funny.
My favorite thing that Kramer came up with, though, was called The Bro. Do you remember The Bro?
I think it sounds
It was the man bra, like for guys that had boobs or whatever. It was called The Bro.
Oh, yeah. The Bro. Kramer.
Kramer was way ahead of his time.
Totally.
Hold on.
I like when he had that apartment when it was like he was next to like a neon sign. Remember that? He couldn't sleep. Do you remember that where he got that was so funny.
See, here's the bro.
The Bro.
And he was trying to sell it to George's dad. He was trying to get him to wear it.
I love George's dad because
Ben Stiller, not Ben Stiller, but Stiller's dad.
Yeah.
He never talked soft. He'd start soft and then he'd pitch out, just kind of. Those were the days.
Yeah, I like that.
So anyway, well, for those of you that hung around the whole time, thank you so much. Bless you guys.
Yes. God bless
Again,
you.
I get emails and all my other stuff. I don't get any emails or feedback on this show. I want to hear what you guys have to think, and like if you have ideas for topics, that we want to talk about, or whatever the case is. I know Julie keeps giving me things, so
nice.
Yay, Julie. Take some of those, but just send them our way. Just send them.
Yeah, thank you.
Via Zeppelin or whatever, just whatever mode of travel you guys want to use.
Flying carpets. You want to talk about flying carpets?
That's right. Which is talked about a lot in some historical documents. And maybe we should do a show on flying carpets. And let's see what else. Karen says maybe
I have an idea to put on the table. If you can consider it, I've been wanting to decode and hear some like a collective breakdown of the children's book Chicken Little. I don't know why.
Chicken Little.
Chicken Little, something about it. I think it has some kind of ancient sort of mythology to it. But it's called Henny Penny. Initially, it was called Henny Penny, and guess what? It was 1800.
The sky is falling.
Yeah, the
The
sky is
mud
falling.
flood's coming. The mud flood's coming.
I'm just saying, I think it's something to it. I was just like, again, with the vapor canopy, falling. It's just something about that. I don't know. I want to hear people's thoughts on it for some reason.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do something like that.
I don't know. I'm just saying, if it's something you guys might find. I don't know. I just, I thought breaking that down.
I don't mean to live John or live John, but in New York City, that's what we say. Yo, bro.
Yo, bro. I love it. New York is the best. We love you all, New York. You're holding it down. All the errants in New York.
Yeah, I have to say that the people of New York are a different breed. They're with the exception of a slice of the population, they're pretty hardy people. Pretty nonsensical.
Oh yeah.
Just love. It kind of reminds me of like if you lived in Italy, like those kind of people. Like they love their families, they love life, they love their food, they love cracking jokes, whatever. It's just. And I always think back to, even though Rocky was in Philadelphia, it kind of reminds me of that, like that kind of same idea where the houses were kind of close together and the neighbors knew each other. And you had a guy that was your meat cutter, you had a barber, you had, a grocer, and so you knew everybody. And then you had like a close, like you said, like a community,
they're closer than people in other communities that you would think in the suburbs, but yeah, they have a real community. I've found that, and they used to, I know things have changed a lot, but the people that still live in the same neighborhoods, they know each other and they look out for each other for the most part. And I hope it, goes back to being more like that and just more like a big town. The big town.
I actually think it will. I'll just throw that final thought out there. I talk about this on my other show and stuff. I do believe that in order for a great awakening to continue and to happen and for it to be fruitful, it's going to take all of us. Not just most of us. It's going to take all of us. And for those of us that kind of feel and know kind of what's going on and what's happening and what's going to happen, we can't have the attitude of when things start and people start getting red pilled or they start getting shocked, is not having the attitude, I told you so. Even though I posted that meme, that's probably the exact opposite of what we should be doing.
I get
should
it.
be embracing people, inviting them in, comforting them and talking and, I tried to find myself. I tried to do that more. Like 5 years ago, I probably would have been a different person, but I do lately, especially at this point in the process, I find myself not getting as frustrated with certain things, but getting more frustrated with others. But when it comes to people, I feel like, God forgive them, God help them get through this, God, show them what they need to see, whatever the case is. But let everybody get back. Let's, get back to this big community that is our country and our way of life. And who knows, maybe there's a better way of life in the future for us, than what we thought was the best way of life. If that makes sense. But,
yeah. Yep. I like that.
So, all right. With that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Jennifer, thank you as always. Always wonderful to have you.
Thank you, everybody. Love you all.
She's going to go under, I guarantee. So I won't hear from her for a week. And, but that's who she is. That's why we love her. So
love you guys too.
She's got to fill some notebooks in a few days here.
Filling up some more notebooks.
That's right.
Pencils ready to go. sharpeners ready. I'll be in
And see,
the.
she even uses pencils. Look at that.
Yes, these pencils are the best. I told you I love these. These are the best pencils.
With the flat eraser.
Yes. They are my go-tos. I love them so much. They're so smooth. They write, so I can write fast. Thank you, Julie. Bye. Thank you, Casey. Karen, safe trip. Travel mercies.
Yes, safe trip. Watch out in the old hood in Philly.
Say hi to Billy Joel.
Right. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening, and until next time,
yes.
Stay frosty, be happy, or don't worry. Whatever that song is, don't worry, be happy. There you go.
All
right.
Thank you for not playing the twerk video.
You're gonna get it in an email or something. just because these guys didn't see it.
I shouldn't have reminded them. Bye, everybody.
Yes,
Bye,
you should have. All right. Good night, everybody.